hard, they hate it, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball, I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say, I got them picking up the pieces. That mean you really playing with your life, I'm about to...
No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, I watched Clone Wars, but I mean, I fell asleep a couple times at night on an episode here or there. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, so that's why you call him Huang instead of Huang, like everyone else.
Hey, listen, I've caught up hella on Star Wars. Like, compared to where my knowledge is at, like 6 months ago, compared to where I'm at now, I'm way beyond anywhere I was ever at. So, like, I'm quite proud of my Star Wars. Like, I'm selling people on Star Wars now on my own with my Huang shit.
Huang.
I'm probably gonna get like a strike from YouTube for like a racial slur now or some shit like that.
Check.
I already reported you.
Huang.
All right, so how do I pronounce it again, Jasmine? Is it am I sounding it? Is it Juan?
Does the Android have a nickname? Like, it can be easy for us to say it.
Wang.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. Oh, my bad, folks. Oh my god, even I fell the fuck out there for a minute.
He dedicates 8 hours a day role-playing as a toddler.
I'm in baby mode on and off all day.
And Jess's daddy is caring for her.
I'm 20, but not really because I'm 5.
Adopted mommy and daddy who are totally comfortable with me being a little girl.
I identify as an 8-year-old girl called Denise. Therefore, I am an 8-year-old girl.
You know better. Hey folks, good evening. We are the MCU'S Bleeding Edge New Channel podcast. We got I've got some feedback coming up with somebody already. I'm not sure who on the panel, who I'm about to introduce. But we're doing a review of Avengers Endgame Part 1 this evening. And on the panel this evening, of course, I'm Jeff S., aka TrueKnowledge, moderating, hosting this evening. We've got Cyberneticshark, my co-host. We've got, of course, regular on the show, Timecop, Time Lord, Angela Bassett, Slave, Androids and Pop Culture guy. Matt is back with us and whatnot, everything from Board to Watch, a movie podcast that you can find on YouTube and every other major platform and whatnot, everything. And he's a dirty dancer, right, sir?
Correct.
That's right. He gets down with Patrick Swayze and everything and whatnot, shirtless, all that shit. William's back with us. What up, William? How you doing, brother? From Geek Gauntlet Podcast. How you doing, man?
What's up, man?
You good?
I'm good.
It's good to see you, man. You excited?
Good to be here, man.
You pumped?
Hey, I'm pumped up.
Fuck yeah, baby. You gotta love it. Sean's a newcomer on the show. Sean, sir, how are you? And if you'd like to, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody and whatnot real quick. And thank you very much for coming on. It's always nice to have somebody new on the panel.
Yes, well, yeah, certainly thank you for having me. Matt City, my name is Sean. We met each other through Facebook. I believe we're somehow in the same movie group. I've kind of lost track of that. I don't use Facebook as much as I used to, but I think it's where it happened. But yeah, big Marvel guy, big comic book guy in general. Love Star Wars, love sports. I can flip the switch at any moment and go from nerd stuff to sports pretty quickly. But yeah, looking forward to being on the panel and causing some trouble because I'm a unique MCU fan that's gonna become the leader of this of the Avengers very shortly, and after a couple panels.
Well, you're gonna have to fight Captain Marvel first, motherfucker. So watch out.
That's light work.
You know what I'm saying? She'll take you out. All right. But she'll only do it while she's singing. You know what I'm saying? Whatnot? When she talks to you. But so anyways, folks, no, we're gonna do part 1 of the Avengers Endgame real quick and whatnot. We just did Infinity War, and we've got Spider-Man 2, I guess, basically to wrap up our Infinity Saga Review Series. And basically, Cyber is gonna take over from me for the second half of the film, and I'm gonna basically cut off this one from I guess probably right towards the second part of the Battle of New York time heist part of the film, whatnot, right? Where the part where Nebula displays the bad Nebula versus displays the Avengers Nebula, to Thanos and whatnot and everything, and alerts him, as to what's going on. That's going to be the end of our end of our review. But I want to start off by just basically just thanking everybody that supports us and whatnot and everything. And start off with an initial question and just go around real quick and whatnot. And I'll start with you, Matthew, I guess, and I'll go to you, William. What were your theater experiences, with Endgame, the first time and whatnot and everything? If you could, kind of boil it down. I'm sure you've probably been asked before, but I mean, I know it's been a minute. But Matt, I mean, what was it like over there in Australia? I mean, you're coming from another country. We're all in the U.S. What was your Endgame experience like in the theater?
Yeah, thanks, mate. It was probably in the top 10 theatre experiences of my life. I think I saw this in a relatively about a half-filled theatre, 10 a.m. first session when it came out, the first day that it came out. And then I actually went back at 9 p.m. at a full cinema and watched it again and took my family with me. Mate, it blew me away. This is easily a top 10 theatre experience for me. Not as probably the cinema wasn't as into it as what I've seen with other I guess showings that I've seen with on the opening day where people were screaming and stuff. It's not really Australian to be overtly outward in the cinema. We usually tell people that talk in the cinema to shut the fuck up. But there was some cheering, mate. I probably cried 2 or 3 times, both times that I saw it on day one. It's an amazing. I loved it, enjoyed it. And even now, I think back fondly on it. It's right up there with one of my favorite movies. I love it.
Oh, if you don't cry during Avengers Endgame, you're a pussy. Yeah, right,
Absolutely.
William? Right? No, I'm just kidding. I didn't cry. I didn't cry during Avengers Endgame. No. I only cried when she held down me a little bit, whatnot. But that's about it. William, what was your theater experience with Endgame like?
It wasn't actually a theater experience for me. I sort of kind of heisted the movie on my phone, and I watched it at work. And
you watched that bitch on the phone?
Hell yeah, I did. I want about to spend it.
Oh, wait a minute. You just wanted to see it so bad, huh?
I wanted to see it so bad. I didn't want to wait. And it's like, plus I didn't want to spend $60 to take me and the kids to go see it. So it's like, I just said, bump it. I'm going to go ahead and watch it on my phone at work. And it's like, it got to be like, I got like 2 other people around me. And and every time a customer came in the store, we had to pause it. Then we came back to it, pause it again, came back to it, pause it again. But seriously, even though I watched that work, it still left an impact. When my girl Scarlett Johansson died, I was sad, man. I was sad. And then the other part of the movie that kind of pricked me up a little bit, it was the first time that I've seen Ronan. And it's like Ronan's like a badass. He's like the total opposite of Hawkeye. Hawkeye sucks, but Ronan is badass. So I got to give him that. And overall, man, even though I was at work, I went in theater, I had a good time because I got to be around my buddies.
Jeez, William, I never knew that you hated Hawkeye, bro. That's new information to me. Motherfucker.
You knew.
I'm telling you right now, the only dude I've ever met in my entire life that actually feels the need to always talk about how he hates Hawkeye. I swear to Christ, I've never met any other person in my life that literally hates Hawkeye.
Listen, I hate Hawkeye and I hate Cyclops. I hate both of them.
Avengers they hate. They've never won a battle without him being present.
No, but there's no reason. He's not like a controversial character where you really have any reason to hate him.
They're 0-2 without Hawkeye and Captain.
But I'm not trying to take away important for whatever from the group of the team, but I just don't like the characters.
I know
I'm not trying to take away Cyclops' importance to the X-Men. Not trying to do. I just don't like the character.
Hey, we're gonna get
a different story.
We're gonna get into Ronan, whatnot, everything. And I'll go to you,
Cyclops.
I'll go to you, Sean. Sean, what was your Endgame movie experience like?
So a couple things. So, bless your soul for watching it on the phone, because this is one of those movies where I think you have to see it in the theater. I would say more for me probably was a top 3 movie experience. I'm not sure up until maybe we get these next couple Avengers movies that we're going to feel what Endgame did. Complete opposite of Infinity War. I remember Infinity War, you could have heard a pin drop in my theater. And unlike Australia, it was very loud at the proper moments down here in where I saw it. But yeah, I thought it was awesome. There's not too much I really dislike about Endgame and really Infinity War, because it's really just one big movie. Understanding why they separated it, but it really is just one giant long movie. But yeah, man, I enjoyed many things about it. I know we're going to get into all of our favorite stuff, so I'll wait on that. But yeah, no, it was a great experience, and like I said, something for as nerdy as it makes me sound, it's an experience I know for a fact I'll never forget.
Cyber, what are you eating?
Hawkeye's arrows.
Kangaroo.
Yep, kangaroo.
Dipped in chocolate.
I set up some of the meat from the kangaroo that I vanquished.
Makes good jerky.
Yeah, caramel chocolate covered kangaroo. No, the caramel cold brew M&Ms, William.
Oh, those are good. Those are so good.
Yeah, those are pretty good. I haven't had those in a long time. I haven't had M&Ms in a long time. Damn. I've really been. I haven't been feeling sweets or chocolate lately at all, or ice cream or nothing. I've been drinking more alcohol. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be. I want to be more like Jean-Claude Van Damme, maybe. But Andrea is the pop culture guy. Well, I don't know what it was like watching Endgame in year 2063 today or whatever. But what was your movie experience like with Endgame?
You're so funny, Jeff.
I know I'm very funny, sir. I know.
You're so funny. No. Oh my God. 5 years ago, 2019, April, I was with a friend and we were there. Oh my God. I think in the morning, and the line was huge. It was the only time I saw that huge line for like a movie was like The Force Awakens back in 2015 when I was with my dad. And yeah, the movie experience was awesome. Everyone like responded to the moments right, which was good. Like the big moments. I mean, of course, Captain America saying Hell Hydra, which was a big deal. If you were a comic book fan like myself, that was a thing in the comics. So that was like totally unexpected that they did that, which was great. Sorry, going with Captain, but like Captain America, sending the other version of Thor's hammer to him was like a huge deal. Pay off the Age of Ultron thing, which was great. And then, of course, me as an Iron Man fan, I was so satisfied what they did with Iron Man and his whole character arc since 2008. But yeah, this was a fun theater experience. I have my problems with the film. I don't think it's as strong as Infinity War. I just like Infinity War more than this movie due to some of the creative decisions they do with certain characters. Black Widow's death. But, we'll discuss that later in part 2.
I've heard that train of thought before.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, it was a fun theater experience that I will always cherish for forever in my life. It was one of the best experiences.
Did you go with Angela Bassett?
I mean, yeah, in the future, yes. I went to another timeline to see the movie theater. Yeah, I only saw the movie once, so yeah.
I would have thought that like the year 2063 or whatnot, they'd have it to where you could just watch movies like on a projection or some shit in your bathroom while you're taking a dump or something, right? Like you'd assume that our technology would evolve like that. But Cyberneticshark, sir, I know we've talked about this before, sir, and so I already know to some extent what your theater experience was like with Endgame. But if you want to just rehash real quick, kind of, I know I think you said you saw the film twice in the theater. What your first initial time and whatnot, everything, what was your experience like?
Very crowded theater. Very enjoyable. Annoyed that they, decide, try to bring everyone back and kill off more people. I remember everyone kind of, basically like very, very silent in there. You could hear the popcorn being chewed. But once that end piece ends up happening in the film, when, everyone pops back up, everyone was like, oh, in the background. I did not do that. I just kind of sat there and I'm like, okay, cool. All right. Awesome. I mean, it was very enjoyable. It was very good film. Really enjoyed it. Did not feel like 3 hours long. By the end of the film, it was kind of like, holy crap! Like this is the complete opposite of what Infinity War was, and everything about it. Just I really enjoyed. I love that we finally got Hawkeye back, and he became Ronin for a short period of time. And, we got Ant-Man finally in this one. So that was fun. So this one kind of closed those gaps for what Infinity War didn't show for us. So I thought that, coming out of it, it just was a fun experience. I really enjoyed it. I ended up. What?
You knew you were there to see Brie Larson. Don't even lie, Sab. I know you. You know you was there to see Brie Larson. Don't you even lie, my friend.
That's why the third time I watched it, I went there just for her. That's why I went.
Well, I would say I went for Black Widow, but definitely not Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really fun. I mean, the experience was good. Nothing bad about it. I really enjoyed it coming out. I was looking forward to seeing it again. I saw it, like I said, twice in theaters. I actually went back and saw it when they had that added extra deleted scene that they put in with Hulk. A few months down the road, I went back and saw that. So I actually saw it 3 times in theaters. I really enjoyed seeing it in theaters because that battle sequence at the end is epic. It really
done. I know. I've never been to an IMAX before, whatever, whatnot, and seen a movie. I saw just have Ripley's Believe It or Not, Myrtle Beach and whatnot back in the day, right when IMAX was just starting. I saw what stuff on it, but whatever it's like seeing one of these films in IMAX, like Kyle from True Believers sees all the MCU films that up in Tampa. He goes to Tampa and sees them up there. I can't imagine what the battle must be like in IMAX because that shit was fucking dope. In 2D, whatever the fuck it was when I saw it, and honestly, if they had a throwback Avengers Endgame night like next weekend or something, I'd go pay money to see that shit in the theater again tomorrow. Like, I mean, without hesitation, I would go. I don't know about y'all, but like, I would not hesitate. I would go pay the $13 or whatever it is or whatnot to see it again. I would, without question. I'd love it if they would do the original Avengers. It'd be great. And maybe eventually they will. I think that'd be awesome. I think it's a film that deserves another run. But again, Avengers Endgame, basically, just as a sort of intro before we get into the film, it's a 2019 American superhero film based on the Marvel comic superhero team, the Avengers, produced by Marvel Studios, distributed by our favorite, the Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures Company. It is a direct sequel to Avengers Infinity War. It came out in 2019, Infinity War 2018. 22nd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, the same writers that wrote Captain America Winter Soldier, Civil War, and Infinity War, as well as Russo Brothers. Talk about a fucking, like a resume, man. The MCU, bro. Them writers and fucking the Russo Brothers, bro, they just straight torched it. Like, good luck trying to measure up to that shit. But basically, in terms of the ensemble cast, we got RDJ, Chris Evans, Ruffalo, Chris Hemsworth, ScarJo, Jeremy Renner, Don Cheadle, Paul Rudd, Brie Larson, Karen Gillan, Danae Guerra, Benedict Wong, Jon Favreau, Bradley Cooper, Gwyneth Paltrow, Josh Brolin, who is awesome as Thanos. In the film, the surviving members of the Avengers and their allies attempt to reverse Thanos' actions in Infinity War. And essentially, the film was announced in October 2014. As Infinity War Part 2. Marvel later removed the title, and the Russo brothers joined as directors in April 2015. The Avengers Endgame premiered in Los Angeles on April 22nd, 2019. It was released in the United States on April 26th as part of Phase 3 of the MCU. And essentially, it set box office records for the highest grossing film of all time until Avatar took it back. But in terms of you know, how the movie starts, and what we'll consider, I guess, basically probably like the first segment, you know, before we get into our first questions, we get Hawkeye. I'll try to be, you know, we've all seen Endgame, so most of us multiple times. I'm going to be trying to narrow, you know, my breakdown to get more to y'all all talking. But we get Hawkeye and we get his family getting dusted and whatnot and everything, and we get, you know, what a lot of people in the fandom thought was some kind of prelude to her be, you know, maybe his daughter be a Kate Bishop type character or whatever, whatnot. I think it's a great intro. You know, just looking back, watching the film again today. And basically, then we go into the Tony and Nebula scenes of the film where Andres or Cyber, anybody, what is the name of the ship from the Guardians that they're in?
Milano.
The Milano. Thank you very much, Sean. So they're in this. We have the scenes where they're in the Milano, right? They don't have fuel and they're just in, you know, adrift in space. And Tony is near death, right? And there's a lot, you know, in the small amount of scene it is, there's a lot that goes on. And I'm gonna ask you guys, you know, when we get into questions here in a minute specifically about those scenes, because I really felt like some of the stuff with Nebula and Tony was touching. And you know, and I've always thought, like, you know, that during that time and whatnot together and whatnot and everything. I mean, I'd have to imagine that Nebula probably grew a lot because of her time with Tony, right? And maybe I'm sure Tony probably learned a lot from her too. But we get the, you know, the classic, you know, and again, emotional, you know, scene where we see Tony, you know, in the cockpit of the ship, and Captain Marvel pops up and whatnot, saves them, you know, flies them back to Earth, right? We see Cap shaving and everything and whatnot. Cap got rid of the Infinity War beard, even though I love that shit. And basically, we get, you know, the scene where we end up essentially having, you know, Captain Marvel drop off the ship, and, you know, there being Pepper and the non-dusted members left over from Infinity War of the Avengers, to some extent, out there and whatnot to greet them. You know, and Tony, of course, is not in good medical condition because they were close to running out of food and oxygen.
I'm doing this tonight, man.
Anyways, that's okay. So basically, you know, Tony's not in good medical shape and whatnot, everything. I mean, you know, he hasn't really eaten. He's dehydrated, right? And essentially, we see them come down. There's a very touching scene where you see Rocket and Nebula hold hands. Remember, they lost a lot in Infinity War. They did. I mean, they lost their whole family, like Rocket says later in the film. And essentially, at first, initially, it's great to see Cap and Tony reunite. It's, you know, you can see, I thought Chris Evans did a great job, you know, portraying, you know, the emotion and affection he has for Tony. And at the same time, the loss that they suffered, and they both talked about losing. He said, we lost too. You know, we lost in Infinity War to Thanos. We get into, you know, basically the breakdown scene where, you know, now Tony's with them and whatnot, everything. Nebula's there, you know, and essentially, you know, we end up having there being boiled over tension, right? With Tony towards Steve, right? You know, basically having to do with the sense of loss and what they've all experienced after Infinity War. And so we end up having, you know, Tony basically, you know, yelling at Cap and whatnot, and everything, saying you weren't there when you said you were and all that, and then basically collapsing from exhaustion. And, you know, having to be sedated. Captain Marvel pops up and, you know, basically, you know, she's there now, right? You know, she brought the ship in. She's now a part of the deal. She's with the Avengers at this point. She's in the breakdown scene. And essentially, after Tony collapses, we find out that Nebula knows where Thanos is, and that basically he's basically at the Garden. And we get the classic from the one trailer, which we're going to play trailers shortly. I like this one scene with Thor and Captain Marvel, right? You know, having his axe basically, like brushed by her head. And we get the classic Cap, let's go get this son of a bitch line, right? As they're going to go after Thanos. And I'll stop there. And I'll start off with you this time, Cyberneticshark, sir. Sir, I also, I know I left out a lot of stuff out there in there purposely for y'all to, expound on. But Cyber, if you want to just give me your thoughts on that part of the film, that intro to the film, anything you want to, give us on that, and then also, what are your thoughts on the top, anything you have to give on what I mentioned in terms of the scenes with Nebula and Tony?
Well, basically, with the scenes with Nebula and Tony are pretty fun. I like it. He teaches her how to play the football game. I like how it shows them kind of like trying to fix the ship so that it keeps going. And, it's a very dramatic moment because how we left in Infinity War was a very sad point, at the end of that film. So they kind of carried it over in the beginning of this film to kind of keep you back in that mood from what Infinity War left over, with so much lost. So the beginning of the film gives you kind of that re-emergence into this world, into what has happened previously, with these two films. And, so I think that, the Tony and the, Nebula thing is great. I wasn't as touched as you, but I definitely thought it was fun. I thought it was cute. Them kind of getting along. Then, basically us, coming back in contact with the other characters. Cap shaving off his beard, making himself look more like Captain America again versus, Nomad, which, was kind of like, we're restarting here because the world has changed, and, but don't forget the dusting of Hawkeye's family, which I think is probably one of the most poignant parts of this film when it first starts off. I mean, starting right off with that, I was very glad they decided to do that. Simply for the fact that because we didn't see Hawkeye / his character that William loves, coming into this film, it was a nice refresher seeing him again and kind of getting back to, we forgot about Hawkeye. We didn't see Hawkeye at all in Infinity War. So it was nice to see him right at the beginning. Of course, we also got Linda Cardellini returning as his wife in the scene too, as well, which was great. And you got kind of that great feel to show kind of like what's going to push, Hawkeye to become, Ronin. So I like that. That's how they start the film. Now, after they get rescued, Nebula and, Tony, by Captain Marvel and brought back to the compound, and, he comes out, he's like, I thought the CGI was done really well to make him look like he was so depleted of nutrients and stuff like that, like he was dying. I thought they did a good job with that. And, kind of that reunion with Pepper, I thought was really done well. I like how everyone was like very kind of like, Tony, you survived. And then the conversation in the, the galley there after Tony is, hooked up to Ivy and everything and stuff like that. It was very poignant because I appreciated how, Tony finally said what he wanted to say to Cap, after all this time, after what the events of what happened in Civil War. And I thought it was very poignant because, Captain being the way he was, that, he had to go his way and, Tony was trying to do the right thing. And yet Captain defied it after he kept saying, we have to go by the rules. I thought it was a very great scene to kind of give Cap kind of his just dessert a little bit there. And that's what I got from that, from Tony yelling at him. And I think, I appreciate what Tony was trying to do there. And I thought it was really well constructed there. I love the, Thor summoning Stormbreaker and it whizzes by Captain Marvel and she doesn't even faze by it. That's awesome. I absolutely love that scene too. And I like how he goes, I like ya. I think that's great. That was absolutely a great scene. But, that whole, them basically saying, Nebula kind of telling them where Thanos always talked about after he'd be done with doing his work here, doing his snap, telling them like he's on this planet, and then basically Captain Marvel's finally there after all this time. And that's one thing I wish they had addressed a little more about where Captain Marvel was during this whole time, during the whole Infinity War thing. And we kind of finally got that answer in the Marvels, but it's like, this is 4 years later, you're finally telling us this. It would have been nice to have known a little bit more about this, prior to that.
Right.
So, I think that, that kind of was interesting how they did that as well. So, once again, like, Mr. Time Lord said, Timecop, how he said that some of the writing choices in this film, why he liked Infinity War better, I can kind of see where that comes in a little bit with that scenario.
There you go, sir. Andres, sometimes during the show, Andres pops out of time. So watch out, folks, because he time slips here and there. You know what I'm saying? So you never know. Along with blackface and everything else that he does. I'll go to you, Sean, and then I'll go over to William. Sean, what are your thoughts on the that intro or that segment of the film that I just kind of stopped at? And then do you have any thoughts? Like I asked Cyber, if you don't have any, really on the stuff with Nebula, and Tony on the ship. Just because, again, I mean, I for whatever reason, I found there to be a lot in there.
Yeah, no, for sure. So a couple things. I'll get to that scene. So I agree with Cyber. The Hawkeye scene in the beginning was awesome. I understand why they put it in Endgame and they didn't have it in Infinity War. That was intended to originally be the last scene in Infinity War. It was not intended to be Thanos looking off into the sunset. So I thought that was a smart move by them to do that. Now, the scene with Tony and Nebula, so, they wrote these movies back to back, and they purposely put those two characters on the ship on purpose. Because throughout both of their arcs, they have both been very much solo characters, meaning not really reaching out for a lot of help. Two characters that were very stubborn. One kind of both in a way, kind of starting off on the wrong foot. And obviously now where they matured to where they were. So I thought they did that well. It made sense that it was those two. They obviously wrote that scene for those two characters unintentionally. So yeah, I did enjoy it. There wasn't really a lot from the very opening scenes, like the stuff that you described where we're up to, that I didn't really like. I thought the shaving of the beard made sense. That's exactly why he did it. He's cleansing what happened in Infinity War, trying to move on. That was his first step, get back to how he used to look. So I understood that part too. I agree with the Tony stuff. It did kind of, it hit in the feels when he said, we would never lose, and you weren't there. Because he did say that to him. So, that did kind of hit in the feels. But like we just said, they never won anything if they weren't together. So Endgame showed that. But yeah, no, I thought it was done well. I mean, it was nice. It was good to see Rocket and Nebula embrace. I actually thought the Rocket and Nebula little like moment, I enjoyed it a little bit more than Tony and Pepper, just because they are the last two of that family. Yeah, you could say the thing about Pepper and Tony. I get it. They were a marriage and things like that. But let's be honest, Pepper doesn't look like Nebula, and she's not a raccoon. So probably would have been probably easier for Pepper to go out into the world and make new friends and start a new life. So I kind of embraced that little moment with those two a little bit more, because they were like literally the last two Guardians, and I don't think they knew they still had each other. So that was pretty awesome. But yeah, so like I said, I mean, overall, I thought the opening part was cool, and yeah, not a lot really else to say. Oh, and Cyber, and I appreciate you calling it Stormbreaker, not calling it an axe. Because it's
good one.
But that's okay. We'll get to that in a second.
Oh man, wait until Jeff get back, I guess.
And Jeff, and he liked the opening scene so much that he just said, "I'm gonna go watch it again while we're live streaming." So he's TrueKnowledge said, "You know what? You guys can talk about the opening scene because I'm gonna go watch it again."
Well,
there we go.
I like the opening scene. I like, and Cyber and Jeff will tell you, I love character development. And when we saw Tony and Nebula together, you actually saw kind of like a bonding there between the two. I still feel that, yeah, she's part of the Guardians, but I still feel Nebula hasn't totally been developed as a character yet. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I feel they haven't dove into her all the way as a character and what she can do. So I was sort of kind of glad to see that in Endgame you saw that expanded a little bit. Then we get back to when they get back to headquarters or whatnot. I loved the little interaction between Thor and Captain Marvel. I thought that was kind of cool. Hey, I like her. So I thought that was kind of cool to see too. Again, not a Brie fan, but I just love to see that interaction between the two of them. Because when he called Stormbreaker, she just stood there like, okay, let's go. But yeah, I thought the opening out was really, really good overall. Let's get more Nebula though, because I would like to see her again at some point down the line. Because like I said, I just feel they hadn't really delved into her as a character as of yet.
Good point.
They kind of did her a good stuff in Guardians 3.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I mean, I maybe in King Dynasty or one of the other ones, but other than that, I don't think that version of the Guardians are over. We can talk about that a whole other time.
Yeah, good point, William. I hope it would be great if we've talked before on the show about that we'd love to see Nebula kept in the MCU. Karen Gillan is still pretty young. I don't really.
She ain't old.
No, I don't see, and I don't think it makes any difference anyway. What age she is, and whatnot. But I guess it boils down to what Marvel wants to do, what she wants to do. Matthew, sir, what do you think, sir? What are your thoughts on that intro and whatnot, everything, and that sort of, part of the scene, the film and whatnot, the scenes we get before we get them kind of going after Thanos like tangibly, and then the Nebula Tony stuff is kind of killed already. But so just, whatever general thoughts you have, sir, please, we'd love having them.
Yeah, I just got one question. I think, one statement really. Even in Australia, we know you don't put mayonnaise on a hot dog. So that's the first one.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's true.
So I thought that was a bit odd.
I've eaten a couple of them with mayonnaise before. There's one kind of hot dog, however, we have in the United States and whatnot. I forget which style it is, whatnot, that has mayo on it. And I've eaten it before. It's tolerable.
Okay,
what hot dog is this?
I'll take your word for it.
I forget.
Cuban. It's the human Cuban, William.
Nice. Gotta love it, baby.
It's big down there in Florida. It's big in Florida.
Never in a billion years, if I'm eating a hot dog with man, ain't no way.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if there were like thirsty women and whatnot, everything, right? And like when the Cuban men reach the American shores and shit, whatnot, on their like rafts and shit, whatnot, like the thirsty American women just showed up and like grabbed them. You know what I'm saying? Whatnot, like took them home, like put them in the fucking basement and shit. That shit would be crazy. But anyways, no, I apologize. Matthew, anything else you have, sir? As far as that, go ahead. Your thoughts?
I think there's there's a lot of sort of soft and tender moments in that start of the movie. It's like whether it's we've talked a lot about the Tony and Miller, but it's Scarlett Johansson and Don Cheadle having their chat where she's worried about Clint. Then it's Captain America. Then it's Captain and the Widow having their chat when he comes back to the quarters. And then obviously when Captain Marvel brings them all back, and then it's just there's a lot of emotion. Everyone is broken, and I really like that. And I think you got to hit rock bottom before you can really take off again. I think they're all at rock bottom, and I think that and it's defined in that, I guess, that discussion with Tony and Captain America, where he just loses it with him. You said you'd be there and you weren't, and I think that they have to get there in order to rebuild and start again. I think that's what I really like about the start of it. That you just got to hit rock bottom.
I thought Cap and Scarlett, I thought they were gonna do it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Tony and Nebula. I was going to say,
they were going to do it. I really did, because the way they were talking, they were so intertwined with each other during the conversation. I thought, because they were actually being open and honest with one another.
Are you talking about the conversation later on after the time skip and whatnot?
Yeah.
No. Anyway, no. I thought you were talking about Tony and Nebula. That Tony banging Nebula.
I thought Captain Scojo was about to go at it.
Nah, Cap would never hit that shit. He's too what do you call it? Worthy or whatever, whatnot, all that. Too virtuous. But I would totally believe that Tony would slam fucking Nebula. I would hit that shit. If I was up there in space dying and shit, whatnot, I'd be like, give me that last piece of pussy. I don't give a fuck if that bitch is blue. You know what I'm saying?
Tony would have had a crack at all of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or biotic or whatever. Fuck that shit. It's all good. You gotta do what you gotta do, bruh. Anyways, you can do worse. Ask Andreas what the chits look like in the year 2077. It's just rough, bruh. Anyways, Andreas, sir, your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts is there's still a beautiful woman in the timeline, so let me get that over with. Yeah, I mean, everyone has said before, there's nothing much about the opening besides, catching up with our characters. I mean, I agree with Sean about the Tony and Nebula thing. I didn't think about their arcs until he said about how they were both broken, like very troubled, broken people that never accepted help. They always thought that they were capable of telling things, and so that was actually kind of the idea. Realize now that made a lot of sense to put them together, but well, just they survived in Titan, so that made sense. So it's not a big deal. Yeah, Captain Marvel saving them was so this is the right term that people like writers throw out called ex machina. Like, it was very convenient that Captain Marvel was there and saved them from moments or like a day of dying from air and space. So I was very shocked. We saw Captain Marvel right away. I was like, okay, that makes sense, Robert Downey Jr., great actor, love him as Iron Man. When he tells Tony that we lost, but he say I lost the kid, which obviously he's talking about Peter. That hit you so hard. I was like, oh, come on, Tony, don't do that now. That the way Robert Downey Jr. did that with his tone and his reflection towards Chris Evans is just so perfect. So it was really nice. And speaking of Nebula, after we saw Volume 3, I enjoyed this a bit more now, seeing the scene where Rocket and Nebula reached their hands, because remember when we get to not get to, but when we got to Volume 3 this year, the first person he asked was, "Where's Nebula?" Because she was the last member of the Guardians to survive from the blip. And so this was kind of cool to see again in Endgame here, of the build-up that we got for their friendship, because we see this develop in the next two installments, of course, the Christmas special and Volume 3. So I really appreciate now that little moment of those two holding their hands, because they really are the last two Guardians. I mean, the two Guardians that survived from the blip. So that's really neat. And piggyback the Hawkeye opening. I agree with Cyber. It was really good that we opened that. I love Jeremy Renner. He's a great actor. I think he did such a good job of selling that scene. His family just all of a sudden was crazy. I agree with Matt. At first I was like, who asked their kids and family to put mayonnaise in their hot dog? I agree with Jeff. We do have you have to put certain when you put mayonnaise in hot dogs, it's you put other things to make that better. My dad did it. I think one time. You just order and say, hey, instead of the ketchup, could you mind giving me the mayonnaise or whatever. Now I cannot remember the sauce we're talking about, but yeah,
that's nasty.
I know.
The Chicago dog has mayonnaise in it.
That's nasty.
The Chicago dog. Yep, that's the one that's one of the ones that has mayonnaise in it. The Chicago hot dog.
That's nasty.
Ugh. I know. It's weird. Yeah, it was weird. I'm like, catch up. Come on, people. Like, stop destroying the universe of how a hot dog should be. You know. Anyway, and then where we left off, Jeff, what's the stopping point?
It was right before they actually go into space with Cap. You know, Cap for the first time and Natasha and everybody that have never been in space and whatnot, and they go to the garden planet.
Yeah. Okay.
Right before that.
Okay. Before that. Okay. So yeah, and we're seeing the everyone like regrouping and discussing what's happened, with the flip and all that. Thor, being upset. It's very neat. Yeah, I agree with. I don't know who brought that up, but like the fact that he brought Stormbreaker, like passing through Captain Marvel and she didn't flinch was really cool moment. And I mean, of course, it was awesome when Captain America say, "Let's get the sun pitch," which was a great way to like send in the opening credits of Avengers Endgame. So that was awesome. Yeah, and Tony saying that we lost was, I agree with him. I mean, I was Team Iron Man. Like, go Team Iron Man. Like, we're Team Iron Man. I agree with everything he say. Captain was the fool here. What he did was wrong. I don't care if you guys are Captain America teams. Well, guess what? Iron Man team won finally. Feel so bad for him. And yeah, I agree with William or someone here. Brought up the special effects. Like, it was really impressive how skinny he was. It was like same thing with Captain America in First Avenger, how skinny he was. So very impressive. So our role openings, I mean, it was just catching up again with our characters, but when we got the emotional beat, it hit so good because the actors just committed to this role so great in this movie,
I got a question. Who all like Scarlett as a blonde?
No.
What?
Who all like Scarlett as a blonde?
I still like her character and whatnot, everything, but as far as like how it looked at for her, whatnot, everything and all that, whatnot, it doesn't work. Not for me.
Yeah, I would prefer her as a blonde, but I'm not real big into redheads.
Yeah. Well, I like her. Like, she's great as blonde, but in the movies,
it depends on what kind of blonde.
Yeah.
Like her, like you can tell it's a wig. It's not her natural hair, so it looks weird.
Are you sure? Are you sure that she didn't dye her hair?
Yes, it's not.
Because she has had blonde hair before as an act, like in real life and whatnot, everything.
I know, but she has shorter hair. Like how you say, like she had like a shorter hair blonde during these films, so she didn't have the one like we're seeing with Natasha here. So it's a wig.
Well, I don't want to get too heavy into it, but by the time like we get to the part where like they have the time skip and whatnot, and everything, right? The 4-year jump or whatever, whatnot. The blonde is washed out and faded out. You can see it. It's going back to her original hair color.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, if you look at like that first scene in that Infinity War trailer where you see her blonde and not everything, right? From jump instantly, I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all right. It's whatever. It is what it is, right? Some people like it, some people don't. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, she's still ScarJo, bruh. Her hair, she could have no fucking hair, and I hit that shit. What are you kidding me, bruh? And grow a beard, motherfucker. Sean and Matthew, right? What's up? You know what I'm saying? Just as long as it's not as long as Sean's. It can only be Keanu Reeves style like me. There you go. Anyways, William, you agree or disagree on that with you on that?
Okay, hold on. Wait.
I'm reading your comment.
Avocado, sauerkraut, onion, and mayo.
Oh, I didn't say that I enjoyed it, or whatnot, or whatever. Like, I don't like.
That's not a Chicago dog.
There might be more in it, but this is what they have online. That's just what it says when I pulled it up on Google.
But I do agree with you.
Oh, my bad. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, William. You're right, Sean. That's not the Chicago dog. It's something else. It's the Completos hot dogs with mayo or some shit.
Yeah. A Chicago dog is on like
tomatoes, pickles, onions, relish, mayo, mustard,
like that. And usually they put it on like on a poppy seed. Like,
poppy seed. Yep. Poppy seed.
Yeah.
Tomatoes on a hot dog. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's an up north thing, man. Because I can tell you why. Because I have a lot of family. So one of the biggest reasons why Chicago dogs don't have a condiment on it is because of the weather. And so a lot
That
of
makes
times way
sense.
back in the day, in the cold time, the ketchup would be really, really cold or freeze.
Yeah.
So they just never bother using it. That's
That
how it all
makes
started.
sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
There you go.
That makes sense. But
Oh.
yeah, I do agree with you on the hair thing too.
No, most definitely. And you know, as far as like the film goes, as far as like the logistics go, and whatnot, everything. You know, I do think it's interesting that I did look real quick, whatnot, everything. There is no real like fixed budget to be found for Endgame. The estimation on Wikipedia is between $356 to $400 million. The budget on the film. The box office, of course, is around 2.799 billion worldwide, right? Which is fucking crazy, dude. Like for reals. And you know, in terms of, you know, we already mentioned the Russo brothers and you know, and McFeely and Marcus. Also, you know, in terms of the rest of the film, it's produced by Kevin Feige. The cinematography is done by Trent Opalach. It's edited by Jeffrey Ford and Matthew Smith. Music is, of course, by Alan Silvestri, who I believe, if I'm correct, guys, right? Didn't Alan Silvestri do the Avengers theme, original theme?
Yes.
The first one.
Yeah, he's done a lot, man.
Yeah.
He did the Avengers theme, Forrest Gump. Yeah, his Back to the Future.
Yep. No, so
yeah.
Basically,
he's loaded.
As Sean mentioned and whatnot, everything, and a lot of us already know that, you know, this was shot and everything and whatnot all together, right? And it was done, of course, in Atlanta. We're basically freaking everything that is shot down there, it seems like. And in terms of where we're at in the movie, coming off of, you know, everything that we know, we just discussed it, whatnot, everything. We do get the space scene where, you know, we're back in the Benatar or whatever, the Guardian ship, and we get the what I think is a really great shot of Steve's eyes sort of opening or widening or whatnot, everything, when they do the portal jumping or the whatever it is to like get over from Earth over to, you know, to the Garden planet where Thanos is. And Captain Marvel looks great in space too. It is really well shot. Andreas, you're right. Like, you know, Sean, everybody. There's a lot of great shots in this in the right at the beginning. The Hawkeye intro is really well shot, I thought. But basically, we get that space scene where they're all teamed up and they've decided, you know, to go ahead and hunt down Thanos and whatnot. Again, this is 3 weeks out after the snap, right? And essentially, you know, we get, you know, them coming there, getting to the planet, and, you know, Captain Marvel, you know, doing her recon, and then finding, you know, a solo Thanos, you know, injured, right? And, you know, I'll ask you guys in a minute for your thoughts, but, you know, y'all know what happens. We get, you know, them basically what I think is a really great action scene. For the, you know, isn't that much action in the beginning of the film, until really to the end of the battle, really. But this, I thought it was really great action scene of them taking down Thanos because they're trying to get the stones back, right? To, you know, to bring everybody back. And of course, us, you know, finding out that the reason why Rocket was able to find the energy surge that was similar in scale to the, you know, the energy surge of the event on Earth of the snap, you know, occurred, was Thanos actually destroying the use of the stones, right? So he's destroyed them, even though they've got them all locked up and whatnot, right? And at that point, we get Thor stepping in, you know, and going for the head and killing Thanos, which is very interesting because it's very in the theater, in the theater, in the audience, it's very like jubilant. There's a jubilation there, but there's also like a you know, like an opposite too. It's kind of an interesting deal. But either way, you know, we get, you know, from there, essentially moving out into the film, we get into, you know, of the time jump, the time skip, which is 4 years. And we start right off with, you know, some great shots of New York, of the city, of like, you know, of the coast. And then Cap, right, with, I believe it's Joe Russo, I believe, in that support group, like Griever support group, whatever, whatnot, that he leads, you know, or whatever, whatnot, for people that, you know, have people, you know, who of course were snapped. and he, Cap's leading the, the support group and whatnot, everything, which I think is really cool. And we do get what you alluded to, William, Cap with Natasha at Avengers HQ where they live, right, along with Nebula and Rocket, and I don't know who else would be living there besides them, and them kind of like she's taken over, I believe, basically, right, for the head of the Avengers at that point. She's sort of running the operation, and we see her meeting with the different characters, right, that are in space and whatnot, kind of like off-world or in different parts of the country. Her talking to to War Machine, about where Clint is, right, and what his whereabouts are, whatnot, everything, what he's been about, and we find out at that point that he is out there, basically like doing gangster shit and killing people and whatnot, and everything, some savage shit, right, which is pretty dope too in its own way. And we get a really cool conversation between Natasha and Steve, which I think they've always had a really great rapport as actors and as characters in the MCU. They've always done well. Going back to Winter Soldier, right? Really off Winter Soldier, I thought they were, Willie, we talked about this before, Cyber,
Yep.
Falcon and Black Widow are like irreplaceable in Winter Soldier. They're like literally like they're irreplaceable, man, in terms of their impact on the film. But that's here, neither here nor there. Of course, there is a lot of emotion as we've talked about in the private chat in the film, especially in the beginning and towards the end, but throughout the film. And basically, off there, we end up having Ant-Man having the rat spring him from the quantum realm, right, where he got stuck in Endgame 2. Endgame 2. There is no Endgame 2. I'm sorry, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp that we just reviewed the other day. My bad. Thank you, Cyber. I appreciate you. Thank you. Endgame 2, Cyber. It's coming out next week, bitch. What's up? It's next week. Let's get it. I'll go with you, bro. We'll hold hands.
Hell no.
We'll dirty dance, Patrick Swayze style, baby. What's up?
Endgame 2.
Right? We'll fight a kangaroo together, brother. I promise.
That also goes with Ant-Man and the Wasp 7 and also Saw 3000, right?
Ant-Man and the Wasp 7. Andres just watched it with Angela Bassett the other day.
No,
but I think it's
no.
But I think it's interesting though. I think it's interesting though because you had that from one movie make a huge effect in Endgame. I thought that was kind of interesting how they used that.
Oh well, you know what? That's actually a good point, William. Before I get into this, to end this up and get you guys questions and we play our first trailer, let me just go around real quick and whatnot and get everybody in. Matt, start with you, Matthew. What was the buzz like in Australia and whatnot? Was it all crazy and shit whatnot leading up to Endgame like it was in the US?
You're on mute, Matt.
Matt, you're muted, bro. You're in the dark.
You're on mute, bro.
Okay, I'm back. I was muted on my headset.
Matt, just because your wife told you you're more attractive in the dark, bro, don't mean you should be muted too.
Well, I've always been told if I've got nothing good to say, don't say anything at all. So, but no, look, the buzz was massive. It was, Infinity War and Endgame were the two biggest movies for some time, and Endgame especially, I guess, after how good Infinity War was. So, mate, the cinemas were sold out for weeks and weeks. You could go anytime, and there'd be people in the cinemas, which is sort of unheard of here. You might get your sort of 6 o'clock and your 9 o'clock session might be sold out 2 or 3 times a week, but here it was 7 days a week. You're getting most sessions sold out, which was you could go at any time and get that whole feeling because it was chock-a-block. It was great.
There you go. Just like sort of like the line to to buy that the Willow season 1 DVD in the year 2066 or whatever whatnot. It's very, very close. No, but going to you, Cyberneticshark, sir. Sir, what are your real quick just quick thoughts on the fervor and the build up for Endgame? Man, that shit was crazy, wasn't it?
The only people that were talking about it around me was myself and others that I knew. Other than that, there wasn't a whole bunch of hype here. Small town, I mean, Keene is not huge. It's maybe 8,000 people. So I mean, it like we had a big crowd, the first night when it opened and everything, and it was pretty steady after the movie theaters when it came out in 2019. But it wasn't, most people were like, oh yeah, I've seen Endgame. It was good.
Well, fuck, 8,000. That, according to Matthew, that's how many fucking massage parlors they have just in one city in Australia.
There are a lot.
There you go. Yeah, you gotta love it, man.
How many did Deshaun Watson go to?
A lot of them. He's not allowed back in the country.
That's folks. This is why we like to have international creators and guests on the show and everything, right? Because we would never know that there's so many massage parlors down under, right? And that could be a major tourism thing.
Well, they definitely go down under. Don't worry about that.
I would hope so. If they're a massage parlor, baby, the fuck. You know what I'm saying? Gotta hold that down.
I can't wait for the TrueKnowledge instant reaction massage parlor version.
I already asked the chick at the massage parlor if I could videotape and whatnot for reaction video and whatnot. She didn't understand me. She didn't like it.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, she gave me a funny look. No, I do wonder though when I'm in there. I'm wondering to myself, do they videotape you while you're here and just watch this shit? Like in the back room or some shit, whatnot. Like the massage parlor Asian chicks and whatnot, like get together and fucking like laugh at dudes and shit, whatnot, right? Like
I don't think any of them want to relive what's gone on the previous 40 minutes ever again.
Yo, why would they have some kind of hidden video camera in that motherfucker? I'm like, why not, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I love videotaping. That's just hot. I'm sure that massage parlor chicks love it too. Why wouldn't they?
Well, whatever gets you there, Jeff.
That's just better than poor, baby. What's up? Got let's do it. Folks, we will be we're working out a deal to work out some kind of discount on a pass where you can go to Australia and do the tour of massage parlors in Australia. But I'm working out with Matthew. But Andre is the pop culture guy, sir. What was the buzz like in Jersey?
Jersey. Well, Jersey is not a big town.
Jersey?
It's like what Cyber say, the hype was just around us, the movie enthusiasts / movie buzz, / comic book fans. We were talking about it, so it wasn't like, it was, the second coming, so it was.
No, I guess if you're tuned into YouTube, right, or whatever, whatnot, and you have fans that are fandom fans, like you're saying, right? Like,
yeah. So that it was just kind of like that, I just try and think. We were just excited because Infinity War left us out. We were excited. I was excited where they were going to take it. That was my feeling, and it was. It's hard to like what was my experience. Like it was like so like, oh my god, I need to see it. I wanted to see this because it's just like what they're gonna do, because we know this was gonna be the final movie for our Ritual 6, and all that. So I think that the hype was there with the community, and plus Marvel Studios have our trust. So I trusted them and delivered the expectation and the experience that we got. Like they delivered that twice for the Avengers first film and then Infinity War, and this it was like can they do it again? And the answer was yes.
Most definitely. Sean, sir, any thoughts, sir, at all on the fervor, which again, it was sort of like more, of course, like intense among us that are like fandom folks and whatnot, and get into the MCU, get into comic book stuff and Star Wars and all that kind of stuff and whatnot. I know it was more concentrated, but just I don't know what the fervor, the build up off Infinity War going into Endgame was like for you.
No, Andre, he was kind of on the right track. We were all we were so hyped for it, and we, even though we had to wait a year, it was fun to talk. I mean, but no, I mean, I went in with probably as high expectations as you could, but more excited because I think I was pretty spot on. I told myself, I said, this isn't going to be as fast paced as Infinity War. And at some point in time, they're going to have to slow down and they're going to have to give us a character movie. And it made more sense to make that Endgame to the point that it was just made because it was going to be the original Six's last movie. So, well, at least for 4 of the 6, because we know 4 of the 6 will be back by, the next 2 Avengers movies. Rest in peace, Black Widow and Tony. But the other 4, we'll see. So I like that. That's why I said, like, I view him as one big. That's why I kind of view it as one big movie. I think for me, it's easier to do it that way. It was very much, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi kind of followed the very same formula. There really wasn't a lot of action, but it did, and obviously ended how it needed to end, and had obviously the good stuff at the end. And it gave us more of a character stuff. It really, talked about Yoda and showed him off, and the Luke stuff, and et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah. So I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it, man. I mean, I don't think you could be any more hyped about it. The hypeness for the movie, that really, to me, is the bar that Marvel will have a hard time meeting. I don't think the quality of their stuff they're ever going to have a hard time meeting. And I know that's where I'm going to disagree a lot in the panel and stuff like that, because I know I probably like some of the shows a lot more than some other people have and things like that. But and I haven't had really a lot of issues with this recent phase. But the bar of the hypeness, that's going to be where we'll see if they can do that. I'm sure the X-Men, all that stuff will help, but we'll see. But yeah, man. But as far as overall those 2 movies and leading up to Endgame, man, I don't think I could have been more excited for it.
William, we've talked about this before on the show, whatnot, everything. So I've already heard you talk about this. But any just last thoughts on sort of the buzz, the fever, right, going into Endgame, whatnot.
I had a lot of my friends. I have a circle of friends that are around this stuff even before Gauntlet really was formed, and we were all hyped up for this. I just jumped the gun a little bit in seeing the movie, but we were all hyped up because Infinity War was damn good. I'm sort of kind of with Timecop down there in terms of
I love how you straightened fucking Timecop out and called him Timecop. Was that nice?
I'm kind of with him.
William fucking got him, bro.
But I'm kind of with him a little bit in terms of Infinity War being better than. I'm kind of with him because Infinity War was faster paced. You had better action in it, and you had more character interaction. So I'm sort of kind of with him. But Endgame was a great movie, particularly toward the we haven't gotten to part 2, but the very end was awesome. But the movie as a whole was great. And like I said, I have a circle of friends. We all were just gathering around, just talking about it, just waiting for that movie to come out. It had a lot of buzz around here in Georgia. A lot of buzz.
Well, I mean, we talked about it before, whatnot. Everybody has their own personal opinion, but I thought Infinity War was better. Was more intense in theater. Was more exciting, like more adrenaline pumping, more action filled.
Now, Infinity War, I saw in theaters. It was Endgame War I watched on my phone, but Infinity War I watched in theater. It was amazing in theaters. It was amazing.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I enjoyed Infinity War a little bit more too. But again, you had to. Like I said, they couldn't make Endgame the same way they made Infinity.
Sure.
Yeah,
no, they just couldn't. Like it's just like Infinity War was a NASCAR car.
Yep.
And at some point in time, they had to come off of the track and drive on a regular road.
Yep.
Sure.
You couldn't repeat it.
Yeah.
No.
So
no.
So that's why, and I think that's what I was trying to allude to, and I said that's why I think that's why I have almost like yes, I would give Infinity War a 9.8 and Endgame a 9.6 type thing. But that's why I have them the way they are, because I appreciate them both because they both had to do something very different and they both hit it out of the park in my opinion.
Oh yeah. They did.
Sean, do me a solid, man. We have too many people on the show, whatnot, everything. We're doing, for us to have all the crosstalk and whatnot. So please, try to limit it a little bit, whatnot, right? Or we're gonna have to start shedding people from the panel and whatnot. We only there's so many. If we could expound more if we had a smaller show, but it's harder when we have so many people. I just want everybody involved. I understand though. Believe me, I get motivated and pumped and whatnot about talking about these movies and whatnot myself, and it's being around so many other people that are fans and whatnot and everything. It's contagious almost when you hear people talking and hear whatnot off the things they say to not want to talk to or talk to them. But that's the cool thing, right, William? Right, Matt, is that you get to come back on and whatnot, everything, right, and meet the same people on here and whatnot, right? We all know each other, so. But William's going to take off in a minute, so let's go ahead and get through the end of that second segment and whatnot that I was just kind of running through, so we can drop our last question for him, and he can take off. That'll reduce the panel a little bit, whatnot, give everybody a little bit more time, and we'll wrap this review up here, within 7 hours or 100 minutes. Like 100-minute man Andres. So basically, going back to the film itself, not the fervor pitch. We already got into the conversation between time, 4-year time skip, Natasha, Cap. We end up having Ant-Man sprung from the quantum realm. He goes to upstate New York to Avengers HQ, and essentially that's where the implication or the premise or concept is established for the whole, time heist or, time traveling, deal, revolves around Ant-Man and whatnot. We go into, us seeing Tony with the 4-year-old daughter, Morgan, that, I don't know if she was 4. I'm assuming, I guess, that she was 4 years old or something like that, somewhere around there with Pepper. That was really cute and was really sweet and whatnot. We saw the scene. We see the scene with her, which I thought was wonderful. That they had children in the movie and whatnot and everything. She was, and of course, it's heartbreaking there at the end. But we get Cap and we get Scott going to see Tony. Where there's a lot of division between, of course, animosity, between Tony and between Steve, and to pitch him or ask, for assistance with helping to plan, this attempt to try to bring everybody back, essentially. And he says it can't be done, right? It doesn't work that way. This isn't the movies, whatever. So we get the Smart Hulk introduction of the film. Where we get the, essentially the characterization of Professor Hulk from the comics, where he's Smart Hulk, right? He's just smaller, I think in size than comic book Professor Hulk was. Professor Hulk in the comics is still really pretty big, and still like Hulk, basically, if I remember correctly. A lot of critiques people have had with Endgame that we've talked about on shows have had to do with his size as Smart Hulk. We guys can opine on that if you thought it was okay or too small or whatever. But we get Smart Hulk. It's really great that you guys can opine on it. The scene where the kids wanting Hulk's autograph and whatnot, all that, because he can actually talk, right, and all this shit and whatnot. He's managed to find a middle ground between Hulk, where he's able to be with it IQ wise and be Banner, yet still be Hulk. And they get his help, right, to help them essentially do what are their first tests, which are hilarious, of attempting this time travel, right, through quantum theory, through the quantum realm, with Scott, where he turns into the baby and all this shit and everything and whatnot. It's really funny as shit, man. Old Scott, baby Scott, all this shit. And from there, right, we end up having, I guess, an emotional scene, and it is kind of cool to see Tony showing up and we seeing Steve and him hash things out, and Steve getting the shield back and whatnot, everything, right? It's very nice, good fan service. And basically we'll stop there, ending off of Steve and Tony kind of patching things up. And I'll go to you first, William. Right, and then that way we can get you off, and you can drop your rating for the film and whatnot, everything, right? I know you had a lot going on this week, and then off that I'll go to you, Sean, and then I'll go to you, Time Lord, sir. Since we found a middle ground with you too, we're going to tell you a little bit of both. What is it? What did you sound like Booze and Chill now?
Time Lord, he is the Time Lord.
All the girls love Timecop, baby. So what are your thoughts, William? What are your thoughts on that second segment of the film, going into towards the towards the actual planning of the real time heist and whatnot, everything, right?
I thought it was interesting because if you didn't see it before, if you didn't pay any attention to how smart Tony Stark was before, you saw it then. And that man basically figured out what time travel was. He mapped it out. You saw it, and I thought that was incredible for him to do that. He just found out about it. What? Not even movie wise. And 2 hours ago, he can't. What? Lunch is generally 1 o'clock. This is at night, so he's just basically figuring this out in a few hours off a premise from somebody else. If you didn't realize his genius before, you realized it then. I thought it was kind of cool too that he got his shield back. I thought that was interesting because I couldn't see a Captain America in the Avengers without his shield for too long. So I thought that was cool. And overall, Professor Hulk, that was awesome to see him. That was awesome to see him. That was the one thing I wasn't expecting to see was Professor Hulk. That was awesome.
Excellent, sir. Before you bounce out, do you want to drop a rating for the film? I mean, I'm assuming already that it's a 10, but
well, no. I'll give
you know what? I'm sorry. I should not have assumed. I apologize.
You're good. No, I will give it like a 9.8. Just because the pacing was a little bit slower than in the other movies, particularly Infinity War. It didn't feel like 3 hours because you were so engrossed in it, but the pacing was really slow. So that's the only knock I really have against it. But overall, it's a good movie, and
that's a good mass audience kind of remark. I like that, William. That's good, because like from a mass audience standpoint and whatnot, that does like make more of a difference, right? If you're not as tuned into the fandom, I think that's where that but that's another conversation, right? But that is interesting from that standpoint. William, of course, can be found. I mean, when he's not, too busy slinging it and whatnot, putting them hose down here and there and whatnot, slipping the sheets and shit and whatnot, and at work, right, or handling his business over at Geek News Now Network. You can find him on Saturday evenings, mostly focus heavily live on Twitch at the Geek Gauntlet Podcast, right, at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, right, with the squad, with the split eye.
Well.
That's right, on YouTube as well. And William, we appreciate you, sir. It's been nice of you tagging me on TikTok on all those female cosplay videos and shit, whatnot. They're hot. I love the music is good too. You picked some good rap and R&B tracks and shit.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on with us, brother. We appreciate you, man.
You guys are welcome. I'll let you have a good night. Hey, sorry, I'm gonna get some of the tomorrow, man. All right, you guys. Y'all have a good night.
All right, brother. Peace out, William.
Bye-bye.
All right. Okay, Sean. And thanks very much to William. We really appreciate him. Thanks to to Geek Gauntlet Podcast, whatnot, everything. William's a great contributor on the panel, whatnot. He's a very busy man, so we appreciate any time he can give us, just like everybody on the panel. Sean, sir, your thoughts on that second section of the film, whatnot? Feel free to take as much time as you want, and then anything you want to highlight. I left a lot out of there. Purposely,
for sure. Well, the one thing I want to point out, I was going to talk to William about it, but I know he had to go. But I hear him on the Stark stuff. But two things. He even said a line in that scene where this is not the first time he's looked into time travel. So it's not like he just. And also, Friday had a lot to do with that. So no shout out to Friday was a little hurtful there. Come on, man. That's like Tony's AI system. Come on, be better, bro.
I'm glad you mentioned. I'm glad you mentioned that, Sean. Honestly, I might not have brought Friday up if you hadn't said something about it.
No, yeah, I was just gonna give him like a little hard time for it, but it's okay. Just because I'm the opposite of you guys calling him the Time Man, whatever. I'm Team Cap. Even though I love Tony, I love Stark. But Cap's line in Civil War is the exact reason why you don't sign those accords. When you need us, you can't hamstrung. You can't tie your hands behind your back and do that. Not how that works. So Professor Hulk, I loved. I know I'm in the minority of that. I completely am in love with Hulk's arc in the MCU. Again, I know I'm in the minority in that. I thought it was good how they did it. The only thing they should have done is they should have kept the scene where it showed him in the lab doing it. I thought they were going to also show that in She-Hulk because it was heavily rumored that they were going to have that scene in there because that was going to allude to how help her figure out how she did it, but they didn't show it in that either. So maybe one day we'll get that infamous lab scene of him becoming one. But yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was good. You know, I thought, like you guys mentioned, it was all well written stuff. You know, it kind of set up where we were going. I don't know if anybody else kind of thought it, but at least in my head, as soon as they Thor took off Thanos' head, I immediately turned to one of my buddies. I said, "We're about to get a time travel movie," because nothing else was going to make sense at that point in time. So a little bit of a gut punch because there was a very 1% of me that was hoping they weren't going to go that route. Even though it was a little obvious they were probably going to have to go that route. But it is what it is. But yeah, no, I thought it was good. Like you said, the Paul Rudd stuff with him going back with Bruce at first was great. The shield scene was perfect. It definitely needed to happen. It made sense. I thought it was funny if you said you lose this one more time, I'm going to lose it, whatever. Yeah, no, I thought it was good. It was a good setup. I thought it was done well. I mean, yeah, there's really not too much else to add to that particular section.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. And you made some good points. And again, I'm glad you brought up Friday because again, that is an important point. I would have probably forgotten about that. And Friday was great, a great addition and whatnot, I thought, right? To Infinity War and to Endgame. I forget. I can pull up the voice actress that does Friday and whatnot and everything, but she's good. Matthew, sir, your thoughts on that segment, sir, and whatnot, everything, anything that I left out you'd like to mention?
I just I love it when they go to Tony's place. I think that's great, and then I like it afterwards. I love the back and forth between him and Morgan. I think that really grounds him, and it makes you even realize why he doesn't want to be involved, and that the fact that he almost knows that he's obligated because he's the smartest guy in the room, and he's really the only guy that can do it. That he has to do it. But that I love you 3000, being a father of a daughter. And then I think that's amazing. I love that line. And also love it when he goes back down to Pepper and says, well, she said she loves me 3000 and you're somewhere in the height of mid 900s or whatever. I think that's really cool. I think the whole dynamic there at Tony's place is excellent. And then obviously then they go back, and I love how it's just got the shield's got the toys in the boot, and he just tips it out and just gives it to Cap and says, don't lose it this time. I think it's just amazing. So that whole part of the movie, I think it really builds the stakes. You really understand why Tony doesn't want to do this, but then realizes that, well, I'm the only guy that can do this. And if I'm the other that can do this, then I've got to do this. And that gives him that arc, which pays off at the end of the movie. So yeah, I think it's really cool.
That's a really good point. And that correlates back to the writing too, is that ability to be able to connect right throughout the course of the film and whatnot, and go, and be able to carry over those kind of things within the film itself. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Matthew. Cyberneticshark, sir, anything I left out that you'd like to highlight from that section of the film that I left it pretty open? Just your thoughts in general.
All right. So I mean, this from this point, they decided to go find Thanos. We have that great scene where Rocket asks if anybody who has been to space, and Cap raises, everyone raises their hand except for Cap, and one other person, and that cracks me up because Rocket's like, don't throw up in my ship, which was absolutely hilarious. And so they make their way. Captain Marvel goes, checks it out, but sees that there's no defenses, that it's just him there alone. They go down. They have that great moment. Where they cut off his arm and talk to him, and then Thor ends up cutting off his head. And you're just kind of like, as soon as I saw the look on Thor's face, I'm like, oh shit, what are they gonna do with Thor? What stupid story arc are they gonna fucking give him? I'm like, oh god, because I'm like, you could tell he was like so like out of it when he did it, and he's like almost like shocked, stunned, and I'm like, oh god, they're gonna do something with Thor. I was like, so I knew something was gonna go on with Thor, which ended up being pretty funny later on, which that'll be fun to talk about. But they kill Thanos, and basically it time skips 5 years. So now it goes from 2018 to 2023. And so I think that's kind of funny that, it's supposed to be 2023. Here we are in 2023 now. And we're talking about this. And so, we get that little survivor's guilt kind of like AA meeting going on. And yeah, just like you said, Joe Russo was in it. He's talking about how he went out with a person and Cap's there, kind of being kind of like the head guy.
A dude, bruh, another dude.
And that's like his purpose now. Cap being a Alcoholic Anonymous sponsor, and I'm kind of like, really, this is what you take one of the greatest superheroes and make him a captain of this stuff. I'm like, wow, okay. Anyways, but you can tell even from that like beginning scene when they go through the bay and they go to the meeting, how dark it is out, and you can tell how like it doesn't look the same. It's not bright and airy like the Earth looks usually and stuff like that. So I thought that was a really great sign of showing kind of like things are different. There's a big shadow on the Earth, ever since the snap with Thanos, and this is 5 years later and people are still trying to pick up the pieces. So get that. And we have, we end up having that little conversation. We have that kind of, Black Widow is having a conversation with, Rhodes and Captain Marvel and Rocket and Nebula, or not Nebula, but the Okoye. And basically you have that kind of like little fun scene there where they're talking, and she mentions there's earthquakes going on underneath the ocean in Wakanda. And you're like, okay, that's an Easter egg. I think they're talking about Namor here. And so I thought that was kind of fun little Easter egg they popped up in there. And of course, they all have their conversation. They start to leave, and Rhodes stays behind, and Rhodes and her had that kind of little conversation about Ronan, aka the person William doesn't like to call Hawkeye. We have our hearings about Ronan, that he's kind of got, Hawkeye's kind of gone crazy, going and killing everybody because he lost his family. And so he's like, Blackwood is like, can you take care of that? And he's like, okay. And so you can kind of see like Blackwood is trying to keep herself together for, being kind of the head person there, because Fury dusted, Maria Hill dusted, pretty much anyone that really was kind of like in charge of like SHIELD type of activities is gone. And so all of a sudden, that's when Cap comes over and they have their conversation, which was kind of, there's definitely, I felt that friction too a little bit there, Jeff. I thought something was kind of going on there too, a little bit, but kind of like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden we get the front door message from Mr. Scott, who we see shortly before that, we see him coming out of the quantum realm finally 5 years later. He doesn't realize it's 5 years later until he sees all the plaques and stuff, all the people disappeared. But I love how like it was randomly a rat just happened to go over the van, the ex-con van, and basically pop him out of it. And you're just like, what are the chances of that? That is fate right there. And Ken Jeong, if you didn't realize, that's Ken Jeong that plays the security guard there, which is cracks me the hell up that he's the security guard. So I think it's fun that they have him have that little cameo in the film. And he, Scott makes his way and, sees that all these people have disappeared. He goes looking on the plaque to see if, Cassie made it. And she didn't disappear. And of course, when he gets there and he looks at it, he finds his own name on there. And then he goes to their house, and then there's a older Cassie there. And he's like, they have their kind of mini reunion. And that's when finally he comes to the Avengers compound. Cap and ScarJo are having their little conversation, and then he pops up, and he's like, is this an old recording? And like, no, this is at the front thing. And he comes in, and that's basically kind of, we get that great kind of sequence there where he talks about time travel because of the quantum realm. That the quantum realm, you're able to go in at one point and get out another. And I love how he this whole time he literally is like speed talking this whole time. He's like, you guys have any food? I'm really hungry. And he has to eat the sandwich, which, I mean, who wouldn't be hungry if you were stuck in the quantum realm for 5 years? Hello, even though it only seemed like 5 hours to him. And so they come up with that idea for, time travel and that to use the quantum realm for that. And that's when they decide to go run it by Tony. And that's when we get reintroduced to Tony, after seeing him at the beginning of the movie, all sickly and stuff like that. And of course, he's got his daughter now. That's like his 5. and him and Pepper are living happily off in the woods somewhere. And they have those great conversations. We have the "Love You 3000" thing, which was adorable as hell. Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. The line when he comes down, he's like, "She loves me 3000. You were like in the low, like 300 range." that was absolutely freaking like a Robert Downey Jr. line to the T, a Tony Stark line. It was so Tony Stark. And after they popped up, of course, and they have their conversation, and he keeps saying, "Are you referring to Back to the Future, Scott?" And he's like, "No, it's a time heist. It's a time heist." And they're like, "No, actually, you're right. It is Back to the Future. I'm going by Back to the Future." He's like, "We don't talk to our previous selves. We don't do this and stuff like that," which is absolutely hilarious. And basically, they end up leaving and decided to go see Hulk. Because Tony says he's not going to help them. And so we got that real great introduction to Hulk, which I have to agree. I enjoyed Smart Hulk myself. I didn't really care. I'm not familiar with the Smart Hulk from the comics at all. So for me, it was a clean slate. So I didn't know anything about the previous, Brainiac Hulk. I knew there had been a Smart Hulk in the comics. I just didn't know much about him. So I was kind of happy I didn't know that stuff from the comics. He was bigger and so forth and stuff like that. But at the same time, I felt it fit this version of the Hulk that they were producing in the Marvel productions. And, even though it wasn't, doing the justice to the comics, it still worked for what Mark Ruffalo was bringing to the table for this. And I thought he did a good job. And so them in the diner and having the conversation, you see that big ass bowl of eggs that Hulk is eating. You're just kind of cracking up, and then all the kids want pictures with him. He's like, "You want a picture with him? It's Ant-Man. I'm Ant-Man." And they're like, "No." It's like, "Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do." And he's like they don't know him, but he just gives the phone back, which was absolutely hilarious. I love that scene. He's like, they're like, "Back to the time travel thing." He's like, "Oh yeah. I that's not really my expertise." But, basically he agrees to help them. And so that's when we go. Before we get to them actually starting it, that's when we have the Tony Stark thing. We have him do his thing, and he, plots out to see if he can basically create a time travel portal, with that method. And it ends up, Friday ends up coming in with a schematic that will work. And he goes, "Shit." And then all of a sudden, Morgan's there, and she's like, "Shit." And it's like, no. He's like, that's a mommy word, which was absolutely freaking out. Another thing I think probably, Robert Downey Jr. probably made up on the spot. That was probably one of his things. Like he did that himself, because that's totally. I feel everything how he treats the kid in the movie. I feel that's how he really would treat his kids in real life. I feel that's just Robert Downey Jr. I don't think that's Tony Stark.
There's got to be a lot of ad-libbing at Adventure Cyber with actors that young.
Yeah, so I mean, I think he did it. I think that was that whole section with Morgan and just Tony and kind of the family life is absolutely so fun and just super hilarious. And so finally, then we get to, of course, them trying to do the time travel thing, and Scott basically pushing time through Scott versus pushing Scott into time, and we have him keep coming back at different ages. That was absolutely hilarious. Eventually he comes back as himself. He's like, "I don't know if baby me or old me or me peed in my pants, but I peed in my pants." Was absolutely freaking hilarious. And just everything that Smart Hulk kept saying, or just Bruce Banner kept saying, it's like was super funny. And he's like, "Oh, everything's fine. Yeah. Time travel." Some great lines there. Great sequence there. And then of course, basically leaving that up to Tony coming, and which we stopped there. Just a great section. I really enjoyed that section. There was a lot of great funny parts that were so much fun, and I thought that section of the film was very entertaining.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Timecop, Time Lord, sir, Angela Bassett, slave. What are your thoughts on that section of the film, sir?
Husband. Just remember, I'm married to Angela Bassett.
You can be a husband and still be a slave, motherfucker.
In your world, my world, I'm the husband. Anyway, Yeah, this part, I mean, this is where I start to really question the movie. But so the Professor Hawk thing, I mean, look, I agree, Saber. You know, it's from the comics. I get that. I just personally just don't like this direction for the whole character. Like, it just separated from Mark Ruffalo.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah. So, like, I agree with Cyber. It does work for Waffle, but as a Hulk fan like myself, I have a personal connection with the Hulk. I really love the character, and I just personally don't like this creative decision with this character. Well, for two factors. I mean, number one, I think with the time skip, it kind of ruined a potential great character development for the Hulk. For him to actually have a control of the Hulk, which I agree with Sean that's been part of the Hulk since 2008 with Edward Norton's character, his version of the Hulk in the Incredible Hulk film, and I think that is consistent. But I just don't like the way they did it, and then secondly, it's just personal thing. It's just with the MCU. There's always been a problem with the humor cutting into the drama, and this is just my problem. It's like I hate that every time, we're talking with the Hulk, it's always like jokey, and it's like I don't like that. It's just it doesn't fit with Bruce. He's not as quippy as Tony or Peter Quill. I just personally don't like that kind of direction with this, with the Hulk. But they did it, and but it's not as bad as Thor. I gotta say, but when we get to Thor, it's not as bad as Thor. So, but at least there's moments I can appreciate with Waffle. The opening of getting to Ant-Man, I really like Paul Raw here in the video. I think he's the best part about Endgame. The rat thing is convenient. What are you gonna do? I mean, it's writing 101. So it's like we got it, we're done. I was so happy to see that Kane drawn from Community, as a cameo. Because if you guys don't pay attention, the Russo brothers films, they have done a really good job of cameo their Community actors. I don't know, Winter Soldier was somebody from the Community, and then Civil War was the guy with the glasses. And then in this movie, there's two, if you pay attention. Ken, and then the lady I'm missing, but she's really great. She's a funny actress. I actually love her. Speaking, I don't want to forget this, but during the meeting with Captain America, what I like about that is calling back to when he meets Sam Wilson and Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Because remember,
I didn't want to interrupt you before, but that's exactly why they do that.
Yeah, I like that part. I actually like that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
See, that's good payoff from Winter Soldier. I really enjoyed that. That was great. And that makes sense for Captain to do that because he's a soldier, just like Sam was. So it makes sense he could do that. To help others. During that meeting, we see briefly the Thanos creator, Jim Starlin. I just want to bring that up. That was really cool that they gave him a cameo there. That was really nice. Was it one of the directors, being a gay person? Okay, that was like, why? Like, you couldn't easily get an actor who.
Well, the gay people do exist.
Yeah. No, but it was weird that he directed himself to be to be this the first homosexual character in the MCU is like, oh, okay, it's very what do you call it, the launch, and I don't know, very
woke?
No, very done on themselves. That look at us, we got the first gay character.
I thought it was actually a good spin.
All right, I mean, I like his conversation with Captain America, but I just found why you cast yourself in that role. It's kind of weird. Anyway,
I'm gay in the year 2063. Timecop.
You're not in my dimension. You're not in this dimension.
I've heard he likes. I heard he likes mayo on his hot dogs.
I only insert large hot dogs into my mouth if they're African American or non-Caucasian for inclusivity purposes.
All right. Anyway, oh my god, I can't believe we're having that discussion. Anyway,
no white hot dogs for me, bruh.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when we get to Ant-Man, like his scene with his daughter Cassie is such a great scene.
His daughter's not goddamn Cassie, Timecop. Come on, bruh. This is not Ant-Man and the Wasp review.
Yes, it is.
Stop time slipping.
Well, fuck you, Jeff. Let me talk.
What the fuck? You're the shit.
Anyway, you were gonna get that anyway, buddy.
What?
You know, yes, you're interrupting me now,
what?
Sir.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, that's what you get when you're not.
I like it. I like it when you call me when you say "fuck you" to me. Timecop. It's kind of like foreplay.
What? Are you insane? Oh my god. Anyway, Ant-Man meeting his older daughter is great scene. I was so sad that they didn't bring the actress to the sequel to Quantumania. Despite I really like the actress. What is it? Catherine Newton. You know, she's a great actress. If you haven't seen, you know, Big Little Lies or whatever that show with Nicole Kidman and you know Freaky, which I saw her first. You know, that was a great film. But yeah, I tear a little bit with that scene, you know, because like he lost another time with his daughter. You know, he always tried to make up time, and he lost 5 years, which is crazy. Yeah, and then when we get back to our Avengers, I like that like Will is taking control. It makes sense. I mean, out of all the Avengers members, like she running the ship makes a lot of sense. I mean, like she has personal training. Plus, you know, knowing what we know from, you know, Hawkeye and Black Widow, I like that she also has the mission to, you know, like do this because, you know, she lost a family, you know, which we didn't know at the time for, you know, the Black Widow movie. So, you know, so I thought that was very interesting to bring that up. And yeah, and then, you know, they see, you know, Scott and I agree with everyone, you know, Black Widow and Captain America relationship is so great. Like they do have, I mean, those two actors have worked before prior to the MCU, and you know, you could definitely see the chemistry with those two. It's just always weird that their supposed love interest is like the weak, like they're just so weak with their love interest, where those two are like so strong. It's like I don't get why the MCU, you know, put them together. I mean, like they feel more natural as a couple, but whatever. Yeah, so that when they see Ant-Man, you know, it's very cool. You know, him talking to those characters. My biggest so like my other issue is them always constantly like referring back to the Future, like joking it. I get you're trying, like it's not the first time like me and the audience have seen time travel before. Just be consistent and set up the rules of the time travel in your film. You know, it's like stop like when they get into the time travel. Like I never liked the joke when they listed all the time travel movies, and it's like, oh, don't do that, please. It's like, you know, those other movies are great because they set up the rules of how time travel should, you know, operate in their universe and all that. So anyway, I just personally don't like when they have a meta commentary on, you know, this time travel thing we're introducing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, whatnot. Yeah, and then when they go to Tony, you know, that's a great scene. I mean, the Morgan thing is a little fun because in the comics there was a character named Morgan. It was like a twin brother of Tony, so it was great to use that name for the daughter. It was great. I mean, the daughter is very cute. I really enjoy it. I think Robert Downey Jr. just sells it as a father, which is great. I love the reason that he, you know, like I agree with Matt, you know, that like Tony is the only person that could do it, and like yes, you know, is also like he is guilty of letting Peter like be part of the blip, you know, like he let a kid basically die in his eyes, And so for him having a chance to bring back Peter is like a really big motivation to bring back everyone, And so, because you see the scene where he, gets splashed with the water, and then he sees the picture of him taking, the scholarship with Peter Parker, the internship and whatnot. And like he thinks about him. And so I think that's the main reason he goes back and, tell Cap that I'm in, but like, I had to come back for my family. So it's just all that works so well. And and then, the baby Scott thing is funny. I mean, Paul Rudd is very funny. He's so great. I think his scenes are the best things about this Endgame. Where's the final point stopping, Jeff?
Sir, it would be literally, sir, right before they actually start like activating, putting together the time heist.
Okay. Well, last thing is the Thor thing. When we meet Thor, like I get he's like depressed, and I get he failed, from not stopping Thanos in Infinity War, and I think all that story arc, it really goes well in this movie, and particularly Love and Thunder, if you like Love and Thunder, but which we all don't, I think, but whatever.
Love and Thunder is a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I like certain things. I love
it. It has positives and negatives.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the story arc with Thor from the movies are at least consistent, but I do question him being fat. I do have that problem. That was going a little too far for me in terms of going, like, I think it was better just keep him where he was at, really, and like just make him at least drink and like I could get it, he was depressed. Like you don't have to do this over comedic, thing of him having to wear like a fat suit, and it's like it just like distracts sometimes. But overall, I mean, yeah, but whatever. I mean, it's there. Why not? I mean, we lose in Love and Thunder, so it's fine. But I was happy to see him talking with Rocket. Like they at least give me more time to have him talk to Rocket, because I like their in par since the Infinity War. So that was at least important when we get into the time heist. But yeah, that's all I have to say with this section. It's building up to the time heist.
Yes, most definitely, sir. I appreciate that. Most definitely. Wonderful. And really quick, I am going to go ahead and play a trailer. So if anybody has to go wee or grab a drink or anything like that, whatnot, this would be an excellent time to do so. Or, smoke some, some weed or whatever the fuck, a cigarette, whatever y'all do. And I believe the one that I have is the, I believe it's the initial trailer, the initial first Endgame trailer, the official one. So let me just turn off the echo cancellation real quick. There we go. And now I'll go ahead and play it.
God, seems like 1,000 years ago. I fought my way out of that cave. Became Iron Man. Realized I loved you. I know I said no more surprises, but I was really hoping to pull off one last one.
The world has changed. None of us can go back. All we can do is our best. And sometimes the best that we can do is to start over.
I saw all these people die. I keep telling everybody they should move on. Some do, but not us.
Even if there's a small chance, we owe this to everyone who's not in this room to try.
We will. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
I like this one.
And there you go. Let me turn on echo cancellation. Thank you, streamer. We love you. That's that was a great addition, to the platform. Looks like we lost Cyber. He's got the Wi-Fi blues lately. It's been seeming like and whatnot. And this is that point, Timecop, Time Lord, right? He's where he always seems to drop off. It's like that 2-hour mark. His shit cuts out. It's interesting, but he'll be back. But any thoughts real quick? If anybody in general, Sean, Matt, Andreas, on the trailers, not just this one, but in general. Sean, you I'll start with you.
No, I mean, I just remember like what it was like watching it for the first time. Like I remember that, and and like watching it now. I probably would have done a better job editing it to not show any part of the final battle. You obviously didn't know that when you first watched the trailer, but watching it now, it would have been like if I was one of the Russos, I would have been like, I don't want any of those scenes shown. Like
it's tough, man. It's tough. You only have 2 minutes or whatever to work with.
Yeah. That's okay. I trust me. I've made some magic happen in less than 2 minutes, my friend.
I have too.
But yeah, other than that, man, it was good to revisit it. Like I said, it's been a while since because I'm one of those people where it's like once I watch a trailer like once, twice, before the movie comes out, like I'm, I don't like really ever go back and like watch a trailer again. So yeah, it was cool to see it again.
I understand. Some of us are big trailer fans and whatnot, everything. Some of us aren't. I happen to be one of the people that just like, I watch reactions to trailers all the time. I love them for whatever reason. The Infinity War and Endgame ones, I just can't help myself. They actually pump me up sometimes before shows and shit like that or whatnot, or when I do certain stuff or when I go out. I watch stuff like that and whatnot to kind of like fuel myself or whatever whatnot because it gets me ganked to see the reactors and whatnot get all like jazzed out. People cry over like the fucking Infinity War and Endgame and Age of Ultron trailers and shit and whatnot. I love that shit. But Matthew, sir, I'm not really sure where you're at with trailers. Are you blackface or there you are? I didn't know if maybe you were copying Timecop on that, but he's trying to bring blackface back these days. But Matthew, any thoughts on the trailer, sir?
Yeah, it's hard to.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god, it's hard not to disagree with Sean that I definitely wouldn't have shown any of the final battle in hindsight. It doesn't actually give away too much of the movie at all, really, but there's probably some key scenes in hindsight that I would have definitely left out. It's the kind of movie that didn't really need a trailer, to be honest, and I probably would have. It would have been a ballsy move to not release one, but I would have been more of the thought process to not release a trailer.
Yeah, but fuck, man. Are you kidding me? People would have killed themselves.
That's fine. But imagine how many people would have turned up.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
About as many.
I kind of agree.
About as many as lined up for the 2-minute magic type shit, type energy. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
There you go. They're all about it. Just like that baby dick energy. It's infectious, baby. You gotta have it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta rock it when you're single. You gotta have that baby dick energy. Cyberneticshark, sir, any thoughts on the Endgame trailers or the baby dick energy or anything?
Well, on the baby dick, most definitely, there's a lot of fun going on there in the baby dick section, so. But to go along with the The trailer. I mean, the trailers of the trailer. I mean, they were great the first time you watched them. They're fun to watch a couple times, and I mean, they're always fun to watch here and there once in a great while. But they never have the same feel because you've seen it. Same thing with movies. Unless you really go a long time without seeing something, most of the time you're like kind of like, like, oh yeah, I remember that was good. I remember I liked that. But the Endgame trailers, I feel like you were saying, a lot of people, there's a lot of reactions to them. A lot of people watch them all the time and stuff like that. And I get that there are people like that, but yeah, I'm the same with everyone else. I'm not a big fan of watching trailers again unless there was something about it that just blew my mind. And I mean, the trailer for Endgame was, like I said, good trailers. And like everyone else was saying, yeah, they probably shouldn't have showed so much of the end fight sequence. And
I'm glad you supported Sean, and then and Andres and not off of Sean and whatnot on that whatnot everything. And I'm glad that they guys are talking about that.
So yeah, so decent trailer, but nothing great.
Yeah, good point, Sean. I mean, hey, I personally think that for whatever reason, it seems like Marvel Studios, whoever the fuck that they hire and whatnot to do trailers, whatnot, like they just seem to be really good at doing it. Because it seems like when it comes to even like all the recent stuff and whatnot, the recent films, the music's always really good. You know what I'm saying? Like they make some good trailers. They've improved their game almost and whatnot since Endgame. But like, hey, they're not perfect, right? So, again, basically, in terms of the trailers and whatnot, everything, I believe the one that I liked the most was the one that was called Endgame to the End or something like that or whatnot. The last one. That's the one where they actually show like the time heist stuff and whatnot. I like that one better. That's probably the best one on all of them. But good points, guys, on everything in general and whatnot, everything. And we're basically almost towards the end of like my part of the review, which basically has us at the Avengers upstate New York, at the Avengers headquarters, right? Which what I think is again another really probably for a lot of people, mostly I think really funny scene with Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. He just seems to be very great in the MCU in general. It doesn't matter where you put him. He's funny. It seems to be almost infectious on scene, right? The scene where War Machine pulls up in front of him, like scares the shit out of him and everything and whatnot, right? There's all this is when things kind of start to heat up, right? And he Hulk gives him the taco or whatever the fuck it was. It's hilarious. But basically we start off there and we get into Hulk and Rocket going to get Fat Thor, who we already just discussed. We see Valkyrie, which was nice. I like Valkyrie a lot. I love her character. Tessa Thompson's great. We see New Asgard, which is great. And I thought that Tessa Thompson actually did a really great job in her limited screen time to pull off her character and give something in that scene, other than the end battle. She contributed, I thought. She's good as her character. I've never seen her in anything else, but I've heard other people on the panel and whatnot and Cyber say good things. But basically we get that, that section of the film where we've got, Korg and Meek and everything and whatnot involved and all that. And they're great. Of course, you guys can feel free to opine on them. They're fucking hilarious. I love, what's his name as Korg. He's great. He's really funny, but they managed to sway him or convince him to leave New Asgard, right? To assemble the team, right? Coming off of Cap and Steve patching things up and whatnot, right? And Steve, Tony asking Cap, we have a team, right? We see what I'm going to ask you guys right now about, which is the Hawkeye as Ronin scene, where Natasha comes in. Basically, they're in recruitment mode and they're assembling, and we get Natasha in that sequence where we get Ronin, right? Like on a hit in action. And I forget the name of that great Asian actor that plays the mob boss or whatnot that he kills, the Yakuza or whatever. But he's actually, I've seen him in other stuff. He's great. But we get the Ronin scene where Natasha basically is there to let him know that there's hope, right? That they have something. There's something there. For them to potentially try to heal things and whatnot from the scars and whatnot, and the trauma that's left for him after losing his family to the snap. And I thought that Jeremy Renner did a great job of conveying, the sadness and whatnot, everything, and the hopelessness of Hawkeye in that scene. You guys can tell me what you think. I'm going to go around real quick and ask everybody. Matthew, sir, what'd you think of the Ronin scene specifically?
Well, he's a badass, isn't he? I really like it. I think it could be. Is it the most violent that an Avengers film has been? He definitely sort of takes no prisoners, and matey, it's death by 1,000 cuts, quite literally. He must stab him and slice him about 7 or 8 times before he gets him in the throat. And I guess it just shows how, again, it's that fall from grace for Clint to what he's become, and I really like that. I do like that Natasha turns up, and we get that full circle sort of thing for her where she's back on the recruit. But the thing that I noticed the most this time is that how big his hand is when she grabs his hand to hold his hand. It's so big. Like, it's a gigantic hand. It couldn't possibly be Jeremy Renner's hand. It's a huge hand. And but yeah, it's a great scene. In the rain. It's excellent. Love it.
Maybe he banged Miss Marvel and caught some of her powers or some shit that made his hand bigger.
Well, good on him. Power to him.
I mean, it's a extended universe, so you never know, right? It could be possible. She's of age, or at least in real life. I know it's very important to you, Matthew. Legal age thing. You Dr. motherfucker, you Australian motherfuckers are so worried about legality, man, when it comes to your sexual affairs. I'm telling you.
Anyways, one of the big rules here in Australia is that people must be adults to have sex with other adults.
What? Really?
It's a big thing we live by here. Yeah.
What about if you're obsessed with kangaroos?
You can do whatever you want with them, mate. They're a serial pest and they're vermin. So you can do whatever you want.
Anyways, Cyberneticshark, sir, your thoughts on the rodent scene, sir?
The rodent scene is okay. I think it is an interesting part they decided to throw in to give, Jeremy Renner kind of that interesting kind of like time frame in the film, showing that he was up to something else during, when they're trying to get the time heist going. And I think that, bringing in the Ronin character, I thought was an interesting aspect of trying to bring that character from the comics into the films. But it was so brief because, after this movie, he goes back to just being regular Hawkeye in the Hawkeye series. So it's kind of funny they didn't keep him as a Ronin character. They just had him be Ronin for this film. So I thought the scene was cool. The action was really great. And I thought that, Jeremy Renner did a great job of kicking butt through that scene. I mean, those fight sequence in that sequence when he's in like that part of China is amazing. And the guy that you were thinking of is Harukiyo Sanada is who you were thinking of. That's in that sequence there that's fighting Ronin. He's been in a whole bunch of things. He was in John Wick, Bullet Train. I mean, he's been in a whole bunch of things over the years. Great actor. And that sequence where he's fighting him was really done well too.
Yeah.
And then that embrace him and ScarJo, basically he would say, "Don't give me hope," just cracks me up. I'm like, dude, with how much killing you've done, you need hope, bro. You need hope. So I think the scene is great for the action, but overall, I don't think it really did anything for the story.
Well, it gave me the opportunity to be able to be Ronin as Halloween that year, motherfucker. So how about that? I look dope as shit. You see me? Remember I wore the costume. I moderated the show as fucking Ronin. There you go, baby. I love it. I love Ronin. I love Hawkeye. I wish William was here, like Sean said, so I could be like, dude, it makes no sense. Ronin and Hawkeye is the same fucking person. How can you love one and hate the other? I just thought about it a minute ago. I'm like, that makes no fucking sense. It's the same goddamn person. Either way, whatever. We love you, William. Sean, sir, your thoughts on the Ronin scene, the dope ass Ronin scene?
Yeah, so I'm kind of on the same level as Cyber. This is another scene where, and I understand the time constraints. You can only make a movie so long, and the writing and stuff. But I'm gonna be honest. I agree with you guys on the action, and it was cool how he killed the guy at the end. But that scene needed to be way longer. We needed more.
Whole movie.
Like, well, I mean, I guess, but yeah, it just was. You're showing, and then I'm going to get to the Thor thing because that Thor scene has the second best comedic line ever in an MCU movie. So we'll get that in a second because I'm on the complete opposite end of at the time guy where you guys Andre says him is. I thought everything from Fat Thor to I thought it was effing brilliant. Yeah, man, I just wanted that Ronin scene to be longer. It needed more, man. And I'm like a kung fu fighting action guy. Love that kind of style. Love the show Warrior and those kind of things. And it's you gave me a 30-second clip of him jumping through a window, chasing a couple guys and slashing a guy and stabbing him. Okay, cool, cool. So yeah, it wasn't enough for me. The Thor scene though, I'm opposite end. I loved it. Rocket saying you look like a thing of melted vanilla ice cream is the second best comedic line after Star-Lord asking who we're supposed to say Jesus, which is the best comedic line ever written in an MCU movie. So yeah, I loved it, man. I don't see Thor. I think it makes sense why he is fat. You kind of all said it, man. You should have alluded to the number one thing that leads to depression is weight gain. The guy has nothing. He has no mom. He has no dad. He has no brother. He has no world. He has absolutely nothing. He has nothing to live for. So yeah, it made complete sense why he looked like a bloated, complete hot mess. Completely did. So I was okay with it, but yeah, man, the Ronin scene. I guess I'm the one of the five up here. I'm not as high in it as you guys. It sounds like you guys are. It needed to be longer. It needed to be more developed, and it needed more action.
Mr. Andreas, sir, your thoughts on the Ronin scene?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same boat with these two. I mean, look, whatever you're trying to do here, stop what you're doing. Right? Hawkeye is not cool. Okay, he's just a guy with a bowling arrow. He doesn't have a cool gimmick like Green Arrow from DC. So making him to this character Rowan, I mean, look, it could have had potential to be kind of cool, but again, as our two panelists here had just explained, it's just they didn't spend enough time with this Rowan character, and even the Hawkeye show, it was just for the premise over there, was just trying to get the costume and all that, it was like, oh, okay, we didn't learn anything what was going on then. Besides one plot point over in Hawkeye, but I'm not gonna spoil that, but so yeah, it was okay. The action was kind of cool. The actor that was in the scene that's from John Wick Chapter 4, he's a terrific actor. I mean, if you haven't seen the films, he was in Tom Cruise film The Last Samurai. That's a really
that's right. Yep. Okay, that's where I know him from. Yep.
Yeah. He was in there. He was also this is not his first superior film. He was in the Wolverine. If you people haven't seen, that's the second Wolverine movie. He played Yukio's father, who is working ties with the Yakuza and all that. If you haven't seen the second Wolverine movie in the James Logan trilogy, but it was kind of the same because I like him and I didn't like that we kill him off. I was like, oh, you got him here to be in this one scene to be killed. I was like, okay. I was like, wow. It was just for that. I was like if you see John Wick Chapter 4, he can kick butt. I mean, come on. It's
Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is called End of Time. I think they should chosen that than Endgame. Anyway. So overall, it's just, whatever. I don't care about Hawkeye. I mean, he's like my 50. He's in my 50 in terms of favorite characters in the Avengers.
Let's not get to your character rankings, please.
Oh, Thank you, sir. He's 50. He's 50. He's least favorite of everyone.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's wrap up the rest of my part of this installment of Endgame, so we can do some final questions and whatnot, and everything, right? We can do our ratings and whatnot. Plug the fuck out of here, right? And go beat something up, or go smoke something, or drink something. You know what I'm saying? Or do something with a kangaroo or something. You know, depending on your purview, of course. Don't ask me why I'm so obsessed with the kangaroo. I'm gonna wear a kangaroo T-shirt on Friday during our Back to the Future review, just for you, Matthew.
I'm seriously concerned about your obsession, Jeff.
I don't know what it is, man. I just want to fight a kangaroo, baby. It's on my fucking my what the fuck true knowledge, crazy as fuck bucket list, baby. You know what I'm saying? Along with doing a foursome, because threesomes are getting boring for me. You know what I'm saying? They're getting old. So
Jeff, I have a question. Have you seen Kangaroo Jack?
Well, of course, bro. It's a fucking classic. What are you kidding me? I mean, that's like asking me if I saw Saving Private Ryan.
I just had to say it just to see your
reaction. How'd you know? I got the DVD right over there.
Well, take it. I want to see
it. It's right next to White Vision's penis. Remember? Behind my laptop.
Oh my god. Please, no. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
Kangaroo Jack. What are you goddamn kidding me? Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm telling you, Timecop. I had to bring up fucking Kangaroo Jack.
That's your fault. Your obsession of kangaroos just fascinates me.
If you made me review Kangaroo Jack on your fucking YouTube channel, bro, that's it. I'm done.
Oh, that's going to be in my list.
Anyways, I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. So, basically, back to the actual film, right? The rodent scene, it is very touching, I think. And that's why for the thumbnail, I used a shot of them holding hands. We could do a whole show on their arc as friends, with their friendship throughout the Avengers films, whatnot, everything, right? Throughout the MCU. We could do a whole show just talking about that probably. But it's just like, with the movie and whatnot, in terms of, with the story writing and whatnot and all that, right? The script and whatnot and all the characters, there's so much going on. You can only fit, give people so much time, right? It's the same kind of thing with making content with these shows, of course. So there's a lifespan, but essentially, coming off of the recruitment of now like Hawkeye / Ronin in terms of assembling a team of the Avengers again, once they pull off this time heist or pull off the time heist, we get the full blown again, like I guess you could say almost second test run, or like before real time heist test run, where Clint gets sent back to his home, like to his ranch or to his house or whatnot, and tries to go see his kids and his family and whatnot, and then gets pulled back, right? And they now realize that they've accomplished, with Tony's help, the goal of essentially through the quantum realm time travel. At that point, after we do get the some great scenes where we do see them sort of putting together, and there's banter between them as they're assembling the whole architecture of the device that's used for their actual time the time heist. Essentially, coming off the testing, is the session where they're figuring out where the stones are at, so they know where to go back in time when. And there's some good stuff that you guys can opine on in terms of there's some humor that's in there and whatnot with Thor and whatnot that I think is good. There's a lot of stuff that's said and whatnot that's good. I love the interaction of the characters in a lot of these scenes, but we get the Avengers theme music as we see them do the suit up scene, right? That's famous from from that, I believe it's that second trailer where the sun comes in from the through the windows and whatnot, right? You see them coming together. I love the theme, the Avengers theme at that point. I think it's great. Great timing with it. But essentially, we get what I guess is our last Cap speech, right? Before he becomes Old Man Cap, when he drops his, one of his usual Cap speeches over them, like, during the suit up scene, which is really dope. And so we get them actually doing the time heist and going through the quantum realm being launched. And we get right off the bat Hulk meeting the Ancient One, who is just awesome. Seriously, the awesome character. And that's a great scene when she does the whatever the hell that punch is called. to him or whatever, whatnot, when he's trying to literally physically take the Infinity Stone from her, which would have been great to watch them actually fight, to be honest with you. But either way, she tangibilizes him and like pulls his soul out or whatever the fuck, right? You know, that punch or whatever, whatnot, that she did to Stephen Strange to him. And then we get Rocket, and you know, we get Thor at Asgard, and him like basically to extract the stone, the reality stone from Jane Foster, of course, because they're in the time period where it's literally the day where Frigga dies, right? During Thor: The Dark World, and basically, you know, of course, Thor loses it. Starts that like almost have a panic attack, and I love Rocket. It's a great scene. Rocket having to straighten him out and slap him together and whatnot, and also talking about his loss with the Guardians. Basically, we end up with that scene with all of Rocket pepping him up all the way until basically when they turn around to go actually extract the stone, Thor's gone. From there, we did actually see. We of course do see Freya or whatever during that scene. We do end with this part with basically War Machine and Nebula being dropped off on Morag, right? The planet where the first Guardians film starts off, where the Power Stone is. To get the Power Stone, as Nat and Clint are heading off to Vormir, right, to get the Soul Stone. And that's when we get our first scenes of, what would be, I guess, almost evil Nebula, evil Gamora, different times, still alive Thanos, and the actual images that pop up out of Nebula's head, conveying to Thanos and everything, illuminating to him what's going on, right, across time somehow. How the fuck that happens, I have no idea, but somehow it does. Or that, well, no, it's in the same time. I'm sorry. That's probably why. Either way, it connects, and that's why how Thanos is able to illuminate and be known, what's kind of going on behind his back. And we'll end it there, right? And that's where we're going to stop. I'll go to you, Cyberneticshark, sir, first. And then I'll go to you, Sir Matthew. What are your thoughts, sir, in general on that segment of the film?
So this is when it starts to really get fun. This is when like the action starts to pack in. They make their way to their different dimensions, to where they have to go. You get some great like one-liners from a lot of different characters throughout this section of the film too. Especially, I love the scene where Hawkeye goes back to his house, and you get to see him like calling for his daughter, and his daughter comes out and goes, "Dad," which was a great scene. The whole Fat Thor thing is absolutely freaking hilarious. I love when they're like all in the room, and they're like trying to discuss where they can find the stones at to be able to get them, and they're like, basically they're like, he's like sitting in the corner there with the shades, and he just looks like he's like sleeping, and Don Cheadle's like, I think he's dead. Absolutely freaking hilarious. And when he gets up to talk and stuff about the ether itself, and he's like, yes, I knew Jane, and Jane was my girlfriend. We had a history together. It was in her. And you have like that great timing there by Chris Hemsworth in his comedy was absolutely perfect. And when he gets to the end, he's like, no, I will have a Bloody Mary. It was absolutely freaking hilarious. And you got all that camaraderie going on there, because that's basically kind of the scene where Nebula talks about some certain things that she ends up being somehow interconnected with Nebula from 2014. And they show like the images that are going on there from her. But I think that Nebula has a really good sequence there too as well. I like how all of a sudden they realize, hey, 3 stones are in New York all at the same time. And I think that all of them are kind of like, huh? And, of course, the Soul Stone, which we only found out about in Infinity War, still no backstory on it, and still nothing about it. Still don't get how Captain put it back at the end of this movie. because you got to give a soul to get the stone. So if you give the stone back to get the soul back, it makes no sense to me how that works. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great moments throughout this section of the film. I mean, the whole Morag thing is hilarious when they're watching Quill do his dancing and singing out loud to himself, which is absolutely hilarious. When Cap and Iron Man and Ant-Man get to 2012 and Hulk, and like Hulk has to pretend to Hulk out. He's like, is hilarious. And he like rips off his shirt. Like, I just feel this is monotonous. This is so beneath me because I'm Smart Hulk now. And I do have to agree that whole sequence with the Ancient One, Tilda Swinton, absolutely love that sequence. That's like one of my favorite sequences in this film, where they have that conversation, and Hulk gets taken out of his spirit form. His spirit form comes out, and of course it's like his normal self from the actual Hulk. And basically, she tries to explain his thing, and then he explains that if you do this with it, that whole imagery there was so well constructed and so fun. And basically, when he says that, Strange gave the stone up, she's like, he just gave it willingly. And it's like, yeah, it's like did maybe you made a mistake making him Sorcerer Supreme? It's like, maybe, and then she ends up giving it to him. You're like, you could have just done that in the first place, lady. Like, why didn't you just give it to me without me having to explain all this? And just kind of like, okay. But I think that whole sequence is really fantastic, really well done. I love that they brought Tilda Swinton back because I absolutely loved her in Doctor Strange 1. She was awesome as the Sorcerer Supreme. I loved her fighting. I liked everything about that character. It was so awesome. So I was very happy to see her in this film. But the whole sequence at like the Stark Tower, trying to get the Tesseract and stuff was absolutely hilarious. We get that great little cameo of Loki, and him stealing the Tesseract, and ended up being the Loki we see in Loki season 1 and 2. And you get that great part where basically Ant-Man has to defibrillate Tony so that they can steal it. And then of course Hulk, being angry, he has to walk down the stairs because he's so big. It's absolutely hilarious. I hate stairs.
No stairs.
Yeah, no stairs, which was absolutely hilarious. And then of course he's the reason why they don't get the Tesseract to begin with, because he comes flying out and hits Tony because he's like angry. And just like, wow, what a way to screw things up, Tony. And the whole Cap with the ass thing, like, that's America's ass. That was freaking hilarious too. Especially after he fights himself and he's like, yeah, that is America's ass. I was like,
classic.
Oh, classic. Like, that's totally something Captain America would say about himself, I feel. More like Captain Britain, more like, but yeah, I mean, that whole sequence is really great. You have a great, like I said, a lot of great one-liners throughout that whole sequence. And then basically, after, Tony messes up and he tells, Captain that he messed up and that he needs to, they have to get more PIM particles, and they go back to 1970, which I was cracking up. I'm like, why did they have it in 1970 that, Tony Stark's parents were, pregnant with him? And I'm like, Robert Downey Jr. was born in 65. Why don't you just make it 1965? Why don't you decide 70? I don't get it. But anyways, I'm like, that's only 5 years. But anyways, but I thought it was that whole sequence is fun. I mean, I de-aged Hank Pym again, which was really cool. Mr. Slattery, that guy, the guy that plays Tony's father, I think he's absolutely awesome. I love that actor. I think he's so much fun. He actually was just recently in an episode of What We Do in the Shadows, and he was absolutely freaking hilarious. And he played himself, John Slattery. And I absolutely think he's perfect as Howard Stark. He was, as soon as I saw him in the first Iron Man film, I was like, wow, he is perfect for that role. He played the character to the T. He looks almost like Robert Downey Jr. a little bit, and I thought that they could worked really well together. So all in all, that whole sequence of the film is really fun, really entertaining. You get lots of great comedic moments. You get lots of some action going on, and just really well done to lead up to the final climactic battle, which is where I think a lot of people like it the most. But I thought the whole section of the film was really fun.
I've heard it's almost as good as having sex, sir. That final battle, and some people will tell you even better. I don't know. What do you think, Matthew, sir? Before I go to you, Sean, and then I let you round things out, Mr. Timecop, Time Lord, sir. Matthew, sir, your thoughts on that last segment?
I think whatever faults that the movie has up to this point, I think that there's from here on in, it's pretty good. I think that I love a planning session, so I love that whole bit when they're at Avengers HQ and they're planning. Similar to what Cyber said, whilst my thoughts on Fat Thor are a little mixed, I think he is just crushing it when he's talking about the ether and he's going through that whole thing. I think that's really, really funny. One of the funniest scenes in the whole of
Hemsworth,
MCU.
yeah, just killing it.
He's so good. He is so good in that scene. I also love, you mentioned the second funniest line, Sean, earlier, but I love Get a Move on Lebowski. I think that is so fucking hilarious that when I was in the cinema and I first saw the Fat Thor, I go, fuck, he looks like Lebowski. And then with his cardigan, and then for Tony to say that, it was just like, wow, that's really fucking cool. I love that. I love how I guess
I wonder if that was ad-libbed.
I'd say every chance, probably. Like I think most of Robert Downey Jr.'s quips are probably on the spot. I think, but I love them getting ready to go. I love their confidence when they're about to go on the time heist, and then when they shoot back, I love So He's an Idiot when they're on Morag, when they're looking at Quill. It's just it's so much fun, this section of the movie.
It almost kind of carries over, right, or connects you to the Guardians universe in a way.
Well, it does, but because the stakes are going to rise so high in the next 20 minutes that there seems like there's just that little bit of levity until we get to 2012 where they fucked it and now they've got to figure out a way to fix it. And then really, I almost think that this is a pretty flawless, from here on in, this movie's almost flawless. Like obviously the battle at the end is exceptional, but I think this part of the movie really sets us up for that end battle. And I think I chuckle a lot in this part of it. I think it's great.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you mentioning that, Matthew. I do. Great comment, because that's why I cut the film the way I did in half. You know what I'm saying? Like basically you just explained it, right? Yeah. Exactly why. Because of the energy, right? And where it picks up as the pace. Sean, sir, I just want to let you again know, great job, sir. Great first show. You know what I'm saying and whatnot, right? Great job joining the discussion. You've made some great contributions to the panel. We appreciate it. Your thoughts, sir, on that last segment I just laid out.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate that. It's been fun. No, I mean, I kind of wish I didn't go last, because I mean it's all really been said in a lot of ways. It was, I mean, I enjoyed it. I agree with Matthew just now. I love the planning session. There was many great lines. Hemsworth does really well. I think it was cool how they all kind of planned it out. I thought it was actually interesting at the time that they ended up having War Machine and Nebula go together in that one particular scene. But then I guess it kind of made a little sense, but it was cool though. I mean, yeah, I mean, like I kind of agree with what Matthew said. I mean, I think pretty much from that point on from the movie, it like that was what Endgame was, I guess. It was like they finally got to that point. We had to get the stones back, and then obviously we know what all what eventually it leads to. So yeah, no, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I don't know which more I can really add that we haven't really gone over, but it was really good. I'm trying to think of anything else that like nobody mentioned that I was thinking, but a lot of it was covered. Yeah, I mean, if I think of anything else, I'll chime in really quickly. But yeah, no, I mean, I definitely enjoyed it from that part. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else really to say.
That happens, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, honestly, I try to make things interesting and whatnot and add stuff in here and there and whatnot. But sometimes when we have people on and whatnot, and everything, if I don't change things up or mix it up a little bit, whatnot, some scenes just aren't that catchy or, don't have that glare or whatever, whatnot. There's that much to really talk about, unfortunately. You know, so I'm with, I feel you on that. But no, I'm sure we all agree. We probably love that. I love the camaraderie between the characters myself, just like everybody does. It's a big part of why Infinity War and Endgame are so great, right? It's a big thing where if you get into, like I was mentioning in the private chat to Sean earlier, the stuff where the videos on YouTube where you could see McFeely and Marcus talk about their writing process of Endgame, right, and Infinity War, whatnot, everything. They've been very public about it. It's very interesting what the writers' room was like, and whatnot. You all should check them out. Anybody who wants to know what it was like, them actually sitting down and pitching the ideas and figuring out which characters to pair. It was quite the process, right? They had the famous the famous Feige dry erase board or whatever, whatnot. That's like 20 by 20 feet type shit. They had that going on with all the spider webs. But sir, Mr. Time Lord, Timecop, sir, what are your thoughts, 100-minute man, 60-minute man, on the that portion of the film, sir?
Sure. I was expecting we were going to stop at where I guess.
I told you we were going to stop right where at the part where it's right before the second part of the Battle of New York, part of the time heist.
All right. Well, I went through to the part where the time heist. Well, the part where H1 gave the time stone to the Hulk. But I remember that scene very well. But anyway, that sequence is okay. It's pretty interesting, I would say. The effects, doing like going to a previous movie is nothing new. I mean, when me and Cyber and Jeff were going to go over with the Back to the Future trilogy, Back to the Future Part 2 did it, if you guys know about Part 2, So it's kind of like that, which is nice. I definitely enjoyed it, particularly with New York. I really like the parts of New York. It's really fun. I was very happy to see the extra one. Tilda Swinton, great actress. I mean, she's such an incredible actress from, oh my God, so many great movies like The Beach, great one. We need to talk about Kevin. It's just a really strong one. So I was very happy to see her again. I thought her conversation with the Hulk was really strong. I mean, it was really great. Jeff, when she pushed, Banner out of the body, it's called astral.
Oh, you're right. Yep, yeah, the astral punch. Yep.
Yeah,
that's right. Thank
punch.
you.
So it's that's what you call it.
Yeah, the astral punch.
Yeah, the astral punch. So when she astral punch him, he's out of his astral plane and projection, which we see already in the Doctor Strange film.
I can actually give women orgasms even on the astral plane. Do you know that?
Oh, really? Oh, and even kangaroos? You see your kangaroos and the astral
No,
plane?
I put it on my dating profile one time on a dating site that I'm so good in the bedroom I can turn out ghosts.
No. Jeff. I want to know if you see the kangaroos in your astral plane. I don't care about your sex life.
No, the kangaroos don't exist in the astral plane, bro. Just down under there by Matt at Border Watch.
Okay, well, that's my. Thank you for answering my question. I just need to know that you're fine.
Andres, we need to send you over to Matthew for a while, bro. So you can hang out and spend some time with him.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a blast. We're gonna have an awesome.
Absolutely.
Blast. Oh yeah, we're gonna watch the best movies, the worst movies. Oh yeah.
Oh, I'd have to watch that shit on TV. You guys hanging out. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, the Matt and Andrea show. That'll be perfect.
It would have been perfect if you would have got his name wrong right there. You know what I'm saying? Like that would have been perfect. To be honest with you, that would have been perfect.
Oh.
That would have been shorts worthy, Matt. No. Is that it? Is that? Did you reach the 60-minute mark yet, sir, or what?
No. Besides that, I like certain things. First off, I want to bring up actually the costumes. Actually, I was so happy. The MCU has like a hit and miss with their costumes, and one of these we didn't discuss. I was so happy that Iron Man had his like classic comic book armor in this film. That was such a great way. I mean, when we get to Captain America, I was very happy that Captain America also got his like scaly kind of comic book look from the comics by Jack Kirby. So it was really neat, that the last 11 years, in 2019, in our time, get to like a comic accurate costumes of these characters was really nice and fitting for Iron Man and Captain America to like send them off. And I love that costume. It's really beautiful. I just wanted to, say that. And plus the effects around Robert Downey Jr. was so much better than Infinity War, because I had issues with the Iron Man suit from Infinity War. And this one is so much better. But anyway, I don't know what, it's funny. You guys, what's you guys' opinion on the 2013 timeline? Like, I forgot about Thor: The Dark World. I just laughed so hard.
We don't have time to review the Thor: The Dark World again.
Oh, please.
Andreas, during the Endgame review.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say quickly is Thor: The Dark World is the worst Thor movie.
Yeah, it's the worst one.
It is.
Yeah. So,
but still watchable.
No, it is very watchable, and it is watchable, and it does have a lot. It kind of like reminds me of Age of Ultron, where I like Age of Ultron much better. It's a much better movie, but it does do a lot of things that kind of move the MCU forward.
Yep, gotta have that kind of tissue.
It does.
Yeah, because I forgot about it when I saw this. I was like, wait, why they went to 2013? I was like, we just I just remember Iron Man 3, and I was like, oh yeah, Thor 2. Like, it wasn't a question. It was more of like you guys remember Thor: Dark World when they pop up 2013 Oscar. I was like, oh, whatever. I mean, it was funny because then we see Natalie Portman off screen, and I was like, okay, they barely got her in this movie. I really like Rocket and Thor. As I mentioned before, I love their team up from Infinity War. I was very happy they paired them up again in this scene, and I think this is probably the best Bradley Cooper acting. Like for Rocket is really awesome, and I totally agree that he lost his family too, and I mean I did crack up when he started crying. It's like he's like. Rocket replied, "Are you crying?" And he's like, "No, yes." And then he just randomly run off. That I laughed. But yeah, still Fat Thor is not my thing. Whatever. Go on. Yeah, and then wrapping up things. Putting Nebula and War Machine. That's a very unique pairing. I really like that. And then seeing young Thanos and Gamora and Nebula, that was really cool. The effects there was pretty neat. But yeah, overall I think the section is okay. I just when we get into the more the actors was more engaging, but more problematic things for me. But whatever.
Listen, at the end of the day, we could do whole hour-long segments and shows and whatnot just on little aspects of the Endgame and whatnot. Easily, there's 25 different fucking things or categories we could do whole shows on and whatnot, right? So costumes and all that shit. All right, so basically then let's go ahead and do ratings. And when y'all drop your ratings, feel free at that point to just go ahead and drop your evaluation or reasoning off the rating. I'll start with you, Sean, since it's your first time on the show, whatnot, everything, right? And I'll make sure that Matthew, you can go last. Since you're down under massage parlor heaven and whatnot, everything, and I'm jealous of you. So,
okay.
So I mean, not to get it too crazy. I would probably at the end of the day, I probably would give Endgame a 9 out of 10. Just because I said earlier, I probably would give a 9.5 to Infinity War. But like I said, I mean, I kind of wish I would have been around, or maybe I will be for the part 2, because I think for as much as there's some really cool things that happen in the early part of the movie and a lot of what we covered, I think we all know the moments that really made you stand up and clap and stuff like that. A lot of it does happen at the end. But yeah, no, I thought it was a really good send off for the Big Six. I just thought they did a really good job. And like I said earlier, I think the style of the movie that it was made sense, especially after how chaotic, but in a good way, Infinity War was. That movie really did focus on Thanos a lot more. We got a lot more Thanos in there. And so we needed a movie like Endgame to kind of put a pretty bow on the Infinity Saga. So yeah, no, overall, I don't really have a lot of bad to say. Like I said earlier when we first started, I don't have a lot of bad to say about Endgame. I thought it was really well done. It was really good. Glad I was part of this, panel today, and hopefully I'll be on for some more.
You will.
But yeah, it was good stuff overall.
Good job, most definitely. And again, I don't know why the fuck I said that to William earlier about like I'm sure there'll be a 10 or whatever. Of course, there's gonna be people out there. I don't know why I didn't even think about it, but of course, like I mean, I already mentioned it already. I do like Infinity War more than Endgame. I do. For me, it's a better film, personally. But that's just for me personally. I like Infinity War better than Endgame. So I don't know. Again, I don't know why I went and threw that out there. Go to you there, Mr. Cyberneticshark, sir, my co-host, sir. What would your rating be this evening, sir?
10, 10, 10, 10, 10 all around. And simply the fact it entertained me, it gets a 10.
Okay, there you go. That's it. Hey, that's kind of like my selection with ladies, right? As long as I get laid, it's a 10. They're a 10, right?
That is very debatable.
In my mind, right? I see them as a 10. I illuminate them. I use the astral plane, Timecop, to project them into Instagram models. There you go. Anyways, did you freeze up over there? Oh, there you are, Timecop. Did I get you there? I gotcha. Matthew, sir. I'm actually, you know what? I decided to put you in as third so I can let Timecop laugh, sit here and laugh. So, what's your rating, sir?
I'm one of the guys that likes Endgame more than Infinity War. I give this a 10. But in saying that, I probably give Infinity War a 9.959 repeater. I think they're both great. I just was the back half of this movie is just so good, and I just got so many, I guess, fond memories of seeing this, and it's just, yeah, I love it, and I revisit it regularly. It's a movie that I would watch multiple times a year. Still, I love it. So 10 for me.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a wonderful movie. Great experience in the theater. It really was. And you got to give credit to the writers and the directors, the Russo brothers, and whatnot, everything for doing such a great job with that build up. Like y'all already mentioned, right? Before we get into that, the pace, more pace heavier part of the film, we actually get the action. Mr. Andreas, sir, your rating for the Avengers Endgame film?
It's gonna be an unpopular one. I don't think Endgame is the greatest film of all time. It's a good film. I don't think it is great as Infinity War. I think that's a superior film. But that say, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a well-adjusted, pacing film that does give us great character development for the characters we love. But it has questionable creative decisions that I disagree, but whatever. It's just for my enjoyment of watching these characters do. And I hope you guys can expect my opinion. But bye.
Okay, well, this is what Matthew, this motherfucker, sent me in the goddamn private chat, you son of a bitch. Some fucking YouTube video of some goddamn kangaroo or some shit.
Well, mate, don't mess with the kangaroo.
The fuck? I saw that shit and almost fell out. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Raj with the kangaroo or some shit. I thought it was your plugs or some shit, whatever. Not a fucking kangaroo.
Hey, you're the one that brought up kangaroos. You're like exception with that. And then your response to Kangaroo Jack was hilarious. Yeah.
I'm concerned about his love of kangaroos. I really am.
Yeah. I think he's actually a kangaroo. Like, he's a hybrid. Like, he's actually half man, half kangaroo. And, like, he's not telling us his true nature.
No, sir. That movie.
He was raised in a pouch.
There you go. Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly what happened, sir. I was raised in a pouch in the reality where Cyberneticshark is my son, right? As one person once told me, or I thought, or some shit for some reason. I have no idea why. Just would not stop with the fucking Cyber being my son shit. I'm like, dude, Cyber's not my son, motherfucker.
I'm just telling everybody, don't be surprised if all of a sudden, sometime, somewhere, a video pops up of Jeff and a kangaroo doing some nasty.
like that scene in District 9?
Yep.
You fucked the prawn.
My own District 9, Cyber. You motherfucker. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I can't wait for that to happen. That would be a great scene. I would have to play that during the show, of course. I'm sure everyone would love it. It would be great. Me banging a kangaroo. now, Cyber, now you got me thinking, bro. I've got to see if I can try to put that together for like a little meme for the show. I don't know how you make that work, but it might actually fuel me to work on my editing skills. There you go. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Anyways,
You're
folks,
welcome.
I'm going to give Avengers Endgame a 9.5. Or, like a 9-ish, I guess, whatnot. There's a lot of good there, man, compared to bad. There's really not, I'm not saying it's perfect, but there's not much imperfection in it to pick apart or whatever, really. It's something you could easily just criticize a lot of shit. We didn't mention, but I did really like Brie Larson's scenes in this part of the film. I thought they were good. She did a great job. In the limited time she had on screen, like everyone did, but she did a great job. She was good. And of course, Cyber will cover her in the final battle and whatnot. But thank you guys. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We appreciate all of you out there who enjoy or don't enjoy, whatever. Either way, you're still a fucking view, bitch. Baby, you're still a stat. Our review of Avengers Endgame. We appreciate all the support we get at the MCU'S YouTube channel and podcast. Consider, please, always subscribing. It only takes 3 seconds to do it. Similar to, I've heard, some guests that have been on the show's length of certain, acts with women in the bedroom, same time, diameter. It only takes 3 seconds to subscribe. We're almost to 40,000, so we need everyone, right? Jump on the team, be on the Bleeding Edge team, baby. Find a kangaroo, right? There you go. Gotta do it, baby. Gotta get it. Anyways, folks, we're gonna plug out of here, right? And Sean, sir, I'm gonna go ahead and drop everybody's plugs for their YouTube channels and this whatnot, everything. If you want to drop off and whatnot, everything, bro, you can if you want. If you want to shout at anybody, or if there's anything if you want to say goodbye to everybody and whatnot, everything. If you want to shout at anybody in your family or any friends or anything, or any last thoughts on the film, on being on the show, have at it.
I don't like my family enough, and I don't have any friends. No, I'm just joking. But shout out to them. No, like I said, I do appreciate you guys having me on. It's been cool, man. Hopefully we can do it again. I had a good time. No, I don't have like a YouTube channel or anything like that. I mean, so yeah,
that's okay.
That's okay. Reach out to me for part of that chat, I guess,
Hey,
but yeah, I mean, I really just mainly, as far as social media, I mean, I have even an Instagram, like I'm sure many people, but the I'm most active on is Twitter, just because, again, it goes back to my sports stuff. That's
just why I said something to you.
It's like crack, man.
I don't want to trap you and everything and whatnot, and have you sit and whatnot, everything. If there's something else you could be doing, I didn't know if you want to get something to eat or something. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna hop off, man, just because, kind of like William, I'm your typical like 9 to 5 type guy. So no. Like I said, thank you guys again. It was great meeting all of you. Good talk with everyone. And Jeff, we'll be in touch, man. And
thank you
do it again soon.
Hey, listen, there's nothing better. There's nothing more complimentary than knowing that people come on the show and have fun or have a good time or get something positive out of being on here with a discussion. So thank you, Sean. We appreciate it, man. Thank you for the compliments.
Guys. Have a good one.
Have a good night. Take care.
Later.
All right, so on to plugs. Let me go ahead and slide over a frequent term in Skinemax Flicks, I've heard occasionally, to Born to Watch, a movie podcast YouTube channel. One of these days, Matthew, I've got to get a little bit more creative and whatnot and pull up your TikTok. If I can find my damn fucking password so I can log into the damn TikTok.com on Google. Can't find that bitch. Sometimes it happens. What are you going to do? But basically, sir, while I'm pulling you up, if you'd like to go ahead and get started and whatnot and everything, I told you already. I've actually been. I finally. Why it took me so long, I have no idea. But I finally started catching some of your shows, and your team is quite interesting.
Yeah, no, we've got a good team. There's 4 of us, and mate, we cover all movies from sort of 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way through to now. But majority is 80s and 90s. We're big Jean-Claude Van Damme guys, like the Timecop, and. Yeah, look, we're loving it. We've only really just started to film the show, so we are releasing an audio version on all the podcast platforms, but also doing a video version of the show, releasing on YouTube
Good
as
job
well.
on the subs, man. You're killing it, bro.
Yeah, well, I've got John Claude to thank for that. We've had a massive...
how much of a boost did you get off that?
Mate, since the last time we spoke, I think I'd only just was about to hit 3,000, and so now we're nearly at 10K, and that's like about 3 weeks ago. So
holy fuck, man, Jesus Christ! And you already got and look at that. Your views on that Bloodsport video are up since when I caught it.
Yeah, so that's gone berserk. Obviously, going to have absolutely no chance of getting monetized, but you know what? It's not about that for us. We just trying to get as much stuff out there and work it that way. So we're having a lot of fun.
Oh man, we're gonna have to check out your Coming to America review. I'm telling you guys, Andreas, if you ever want to check his team is pretty damn funny, man. They're pretty good.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
I like G-Man. I want to kick it with G-Man, bro. Him and I'll get down, I think.
Yeah, G-Man, he's a straight shooter, old G-Man.
Something tells me G-Man will get down with Jeff S. TrueKnowledge.
Well, he's like you, mate. He's a 10 rooter, except everyone else thinks that they're 10s, not just him. So
I'm not a 10, sir. I'm definitely not. I don't know what I am, but I know one thing though.
He thinks he's 11.5.
I'm certainly a good-looking motherfucker, though. I'll tell you that right now. I know it for a fact, right? Because you know how I know, folks. Guys out there, just so you know, a little bleeding edge dating advice and lady advice. But when you don't get a lot of compliments in life and whatnot, as a guy and whatnot, everything, it's because you're actually a fucking good-looking, like high confidence fucking guy, right? When you get more criticism and more bullshit than you do compliments, it's because people are jealous of you. And dudes are jealous of you and whatnot, everything. And they want to, you know what I'm saying? They can't handle your energy, your baby dick energy, right? It depresses them. It's too much. So there you go. It's that simple. No, but seriously though, if you don't get a lot of compliments, it's because fucking, you know what I'm saying? People can't, they can't handle your good shit, your AA game, right? Whatever vibe.
We're not a dating podcast, okay?
Why not?
Just FYI, people.
We're
not a dating podcast. We're talking about Avengers fucking.
I thought we could just slap bleeding edge of that cyber. I thought you could slap bleeding edge of anything and just bleeding edge it, right?
No.
Bleeding edge. Module home building or whatever. I don't fucking know. Who knows? Anyways, all right. Next in the plug section of the show, we've got Mr. himself, 16-minute man, Andreas, the pop culture guy, known also as the Timecop Time Lord, sir. Big friend and fan of Angela Bassett, sir.
Husband, the true husband of Angela Bassett.
Husband.
He's very close to be 120-minute man, though.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, hello everyone. My name is Andreas, pop culture guy. Yep. Up to 855 subscribers. Drop one, but
good job,
should be
sir.
growing. Yeah, it should be growing soon. But yeah, so recently I just posted a Loki episode 2 in my channel. Check it out. It's Andreas Pop Culture Talk. I'm gonna put more content. I don't know what. So
you did Hunger Games, the 10th anniversary. No shit, I didn't realize that even happened.
Yes, this year. I mean, 2013 is 10 years now. So every 2013.
Oh really? Oh wow.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Yeah. So speaking of 10 years of 2013. Next Sunday, live.
Math.
Yeah, math. Yes, Cyber. Jeff, you're so bizarre and stuff. Anyway,
the math.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway. We're gonna come back to do a live stream on Her, the 2013 film of Joaquin Phoenix, Scarlett Johansson, Amy Adams, and of course Star-Lord himself, Chris Pratt, is in that film as well. So check us out next Sunday, December 17th. Me and Jeff discuss that. Yeah, thank you so much, you guys. Please help me, Jeff, Cyber, Matt. Hit that huge mark for our channels, and we'll be having a good year for 2023 to leave on before we go to 2024.
There you go. And help Roger the Kangaroo, baby. Come on now. Let's do it.
Did you say you're doing Passengers from 2016?
But me or who are you talking? No.
To you.
You're talking to me. Are you talking to me? Okay.
Is that when Passengers came out? 2016? Holy shit.
Yes.
Passengers, yes.
Yeah, Passengers. No. Her. Her. The
Oh, her. We're doing her. I've never seen it before.
Yeah. Well, you will like it. You will like it. It's fascinating. So.
Oh, I like it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You okay?
Thank you. First, you explained to me how math works. Now you're telling me how I like it and whatnot. Thank you. I appreciate that. Andreas?
I was so bored with that movie. I saw it in theaters. I came out going, "What the fuck did I just watch?"
Yeah,
one of the best sci-fi romance.
It was like at the massage parlor before the happy ending. Maybe there you go.
It's the best movie to want to have sex with an AI. Yes.
Or maybe I did watch it for I don't know. I have no clue at some point. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
When you're fucking 3 sheets drunk and shit, whatnot at times, whatnot. Who the fuck knows what you actually did or didn't do? You never know.
Huh.
Anyways, I'm sorry, Mr. Cyberneticshark. I didn't introduce your plug. I'm too busy over here talking and fucking being 60-minute man. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, that's okay. Anyways, folks, if you join me on the panel or moderating on the Bleeding Edge, you can check out my solo content under Cyberneticshark. You can see my most recent couple of reviews. I got a trailer reaction for the new Garfield movie coming out. And, of course, Thanksgiving, the horror film that just came out this past Thanksgiving, which is a really great film by Eli Roth. I'll be having some more trailer reactions up. They just dropped today Kung Fu Panda 4 trailer. So I'll be reacting to that. Also, tomorrow is the teaser trailer for Beverly Hills Cop 4 that'll come out summer 2024 on Netflix. So,
I forgot about
that trailer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And just keeping up those holiday little mini things for you guys. So keep watching those as well. Thank you to all newer subscribers. Still at 712. I was at 713 for a little bit, and then I dropped one today. But yeah, just gonna keep plugging away. People keep subscribing.
Cyber, why you got to talk shit about Ironheart, bruh?
I always gotta talk shit about Ironheart.
Come on, bro. Come on. Ironheart is a really good character, man. Everyone wanted that character. So I mean, come on.
Just like in your dreams, you and your kangaroo. Jeff.
There was a big line lined up for Ironheart Disney Plus, baby. Right? You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you. Nobody just ever saw it or whatever. It was in the dark. Okay, folks, I'm gonna skip my plug, right? Because it would probably be actually be not good for YouTube, probably, if I could do the one I'd like to do. But I'm still trying to get Cyber to work with me on the intro where we mix in orgasmic sounds from women that I have dealings with. I
have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, people.
But we'll work on that. In the meantime, our review of Avengers Endgame is over, at least part 1. On part 2, Matthew's coming back. Maybe I'll play a little bit of a clip of Roger the Kangaroo video after I watch it after the show. The first thing I'm going to watch, right? I'm going to urinate and then watch Roger the Kangaroo because I'm so obsessed with kangaroos.
That's what everyone wants to know is that you're going to urinate.
Matthew, I want you to put a kangaroo up behind you as your background next time you come out, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Done.
I'll tell you what. I'll get a T-shirt with a kangaroo on it for you. I promise. If I can even find one over here, I'm sure they're probably everywhere over there by you. There's a multitude as MPs, baby. But anyways, folks, support everybody out here in the show with the panel. Support Cyberneticshark. Support Andreas, the pop culture guy, Mr. New Jersey, Mr. 60-Minute Man, and support Matthew at Born to Watch, a movie podcast, and his squad that I'm hopefully going to meet in January, I think, for Lord of the Rings 2, Two Towers. Which
for sure.
Don't forget about me on that one. I know you won't. Because I told you I've always wanted to review the Lord of the Rings films. I'd love to start off doing it on your damn channel. Then we'll do it over here. It'll be great. But thank you very much, folks. Again, we appreciate all of you who came on live on Rumble, X, Twitter, whatever the fuck you want to call it these days, whatnot, all that. We don't have a huge audience on there or Twitch or whatever, but we appreciate people who come on there. We're actually doing really well on Rumble. I don't know what kind of long-term growth Rumble has, but we're doing well. So thank you very much to everybody on Rumble. That stuff doesn't show on YouTube, obviously. We appreciate everybody on YouTube. We appreciate everybody in Facebook, at our new Facebook group. Thank you, Facebook Live. Thank you, everybody on the guest panel. We're about to get out of here. We We appreciate everybody out there in the in the audience. Appreciate everybody who supports us. Appreciate y'all's Christmas and whatnot. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Take care. We love you. Peace. We're out of here. Bye. Say bye, folks. Later. Peace.
Bye.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life.